From the Astrodome, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Houston Oilers. Today's game is brought to you by Mazda Cars and Trucks. The more you look, the more you like their outstanding value. By Schlitz, the Master Brewer's Brew. Just one taste and you'll know behind every Schlitz, the man who knows his beer. By Atari, discover how far you can go. You look at Franco Harris, a man, as you see the graphic describes, needing just 49 yards to become the first player to rush for 1,000 yards in 8 seasons. We are set to go. The Pittsburgh Steelers have won the toss. They have elected to receive. Tony Fritsch is set to kick it away. To receive it, Larry Anderson and Rick Mosier. And it'll be Mosier. And he runs into people across the 35-yard line. The Steelers will have the ball at the 38. Harold Bailey, the third-string quarterback for the Oilers, brings him down as we set the offense for you. Of course, Terry Bradshaw is out to quarterback this team. The second-year man out of Arizona State, Mark Wilson. The running backs, Sidney Thornton and Franco Harris. The receivers, Stallworth, Swan, and Cunningham. And the offensive line, Cole, Wolfley, Webster, Steve Corson, and Ray Penny. Along with two wideouts to the top of your screen. The give is to Franco Harris. And he's got 3 of the 49 yards he is looking for here today. Greg Bingham brings him down with help from the middle guard, Ken Kennard. As we take a look at the Houston Oilers defensive alignment, they play a 3-4. It'll be Andy Doris, Ken Kennard, and Elvin Bethea. The linebackers, look at this group. Washington, Bingham, Stringer, and Robert Brazil. And the defensive backs, J.C. Wilson, Greg Stemrick, Vernon Perry, and Mike Reinfeldt. It is second down and 7. The ball at the 41. We are just underway from the Astrodome. Wilson, Mark Malone will put it up, and it is complete across the midfield stripe. Mark Malone, 1 for 1 already today. John Stallworth with his first reception of the afternoon. As we take a look again, just a little flare out to the side.
Makes a nice catch. As you see, he has to dive forward to come up with it. Stallworth has tailed off a little bit in the second half of the season, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that he suffered an injury to his foot. He had surgery in the offseason, and it still has affected him a little bit, but an outstanding receiver.
A pickup of 11 yards. Frank Pollard is now in the game for Pittsburgh at 1 running back. And the give is to Pollard through the right side. Oh, and Pollard runs off 11 or 12 more. Vernon Perry, the strong safety, with a little help from Greg Stemrick. Pollard doesn't waste any time making his presence known.
Not at all. And he has one of those proverbial holes that you say you can drive a truck through. He's got great blocking. The linebackers are flowing down, and he cuts back behind the grain.
A pickup of 13 yards. And it is another first down for the Steelers at the Houston 37. Malone. He's going for it. Lynn Swan, and it'll be overthrown into the end zone. Good coverage there. Bill Kay running step for step with Swanee. I want to let you know right now it is Jesse Baker starting at the right defensive end spot for Elvin Bethea. Take a look at Mark Malone. Pressed into duty 2 games ago, and Terry Bradshaw went out with a broken hand against the Oakland Raiders. Again, Frank Pollard comes back into the game for Sidney Thornton. It is second and 10. The Pittsburgh Steelers on the move early. 12 minutes, 56 seconds to play here in the first period. We'll be updating you on all the scores around the NFL and all the playoff possibilities. Believe me, there are a bunch of them. Franco. There's an example of a play that could very easily, Gene Washington, have been a loss on the play. Franco delayed and then just shot through the right side. Vernon Perry brought him down.
Well, you can see number 54, Greg Bingham, coming up the middle on the blitz. Had Franco been able to break this a little cleaner, he might have gone a long way. But one of the things that Franco does so well is that he can stop on a dime and get started again. And that allows him to set up not only his blockers, but the defender gets his momentum going one way, and Franco has that ability to stop, let the defender go by, and cut back underneath.
It is 3rd and 5. 3 wide receivers now for Pittsburgh. Malone will put it in the air. It is Pollard out of the backfield, and he has another Pittsburgh first down. Art Stringer is there to put the hit on him.
Mark Malone looks very cool as he drops back. The Oilers are going into their zone coverage. All of the guys downfield covered pretty well. Comes to one of his running backs, Frank Pollard, picks up 8.
And it is another first down, the third for the Steelers early in this ball game. We have not even completed 4 minutes of play here. Now you take a look at the second-year man out of Arizona State, played his high school football in San Diego, California. Play action, Malone. And the man he was going for was John Stallworth, and he simply overthrew him. Greg Stemerick on the coverage.
He did overthrow him because Stallworth had a step on Greg Stemerick. That little play action held the linebackers. Stallworth just ran what we call a quick post pattern, had his man by a step. If that ball had been thrown about a yard lower, it would have been a touchdown.
There you get a look at Chuck Noll in his 13th season as the Steeler head coach. Boy, 131 victories, 75 losses, and 1 tie.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. Lone setback is Franco Harris. Malone a roll right. A little quarterback roll. He'll pick up a couple. Andy Doris read it beautifully. Vernon Perry also coming up from his strong safety spot to roll Malone down, a pickup of a couple.
Vernon Perry was the guy who forced Malone to go inside, and it looked as though he was expecting that play. The defense, you know, it's gotten to be so sophisticated. The defenses use computers, and they get all the things that offenses do. I think this was a situation where Vernon Perry certainly expected it. Look at that score. Chicago 35 over Denver with 17 in the 4th quarter.
Denver playing for the AFC Western Division Championship with a victory. Right now, it doesn't appear as if the Broncos will get it. 3rd and 8. Malone to Swanee. And he's got a first down at the 8-yard line. And Bill Kay is very upset with himself.
What Pittsburgh does by putting Swan and Stallworth on the same side of the field is that you can't double cover both of them. The Oilers decided to put double coverage on Stallworth. That left Swan out here man on man, and you can see he's going out and he's going to come back underneath. Simply uses his speed and quickness to get open, and that's a very tough pass to stop when you're out there isolated man on man, particularly with a receiver like Glenn Swan.
A pickup of 13 yards. It is 1st and goal, Steelers from the 9. Harris, left side. He is inside the 5-yard line. Art Stringer is there to drop him. Franco Harris running with a tremendous amount of authority. Oh, I tell you what, you'd never know from the way these Steelers are moving the ball. This game is, for all intents and purposes, meaningless in terms of a playoff spot.
But as we mentioned before, there's an awful lot of pride on these two football teams. The rivalry between them goes back a long way. It's very intense. And there's a lot at stake in terms of bragging rights in the off seasons. A lot of these players are going to see each other in the off season. They want to be able to say, hey, we beat you.
It is 2nd and goal from the 4-yard line. Second man, Pollard, and he is going to be dropped. What a job by the inside linebacker. He is playing in place of Darrell Hunt. We're talking about Art Stringer, 6'2", 223, the 4th-year man out of Ball State.
They describe Art Stringer as a pure athlete with outstanding ability. He shoots the gap on the blitz, and they get the intended result. Also, Vernon Perry coming in from his strong safety spot. And that's a good call down here. Don't sit back and wait for the offense to take it to you. Put the pressure on them. That's just what they did.
3rd and goal now from the 7, 3 wide receivers for the Steelers. The lone setback.
There comes the blitz.
The blitz is on, and Malone will go down. And again, the first man there was Art Stringer. Mike Weinfeld wrapped him up.
And there's a little altercation going on.
And flags are flying everywhere. Malone was really hot about something.
Well, the Oilers choosing to come with the same play that was effected before. They're coming with the blitz. They brought Stringer and also Vernon Perry.
Now that call certainly needs no explanation. A personal foul against Pittsburgh. And that will certainly make David Trout's job a little more difficult. As you take a look at Terry Bradshaw out with a broken hand. Word is, Gene, he could play if he absolutely had to. That is unreal.
Not only could he play, but he would have to play. There's no one else.
Personal foul on the quarterback. Foul after the ball was dead. The down counts. 4th down.
Now that's something the youth and inexperience of Mark Malone. I bet he certainly did not want that to happen. Instead of a chip shot for David Trout, now we're talking 40 yards away. Trout 10 of 15. His longest is 48 yards. That came last week against the Bengals. Got plenty of distance and plenty of direction. David Trout has given the Pittsburgh Steelers an early 3-0 lead with 8:33 to play here in the first quarter.
And he drilled that one right through the middle.
Now there was a sellout here at the Astrodome. Not a seat to be had. But as you look around, you can certainly tell, as far as the fans in Houston are concerned, the edge is off, as we say.
Well, but Houston is still a very good football team. They had some problems early. Ken Stabler had the problems of not coming to training camp. Then he came in when the season started. Still has a lot of ability. Not quite in the shape he should be, but midway through the season he was in shape. But it was a little too late then. But they still have a good football team here. There's no reason to panic. I don't think the fans have given up on this ball club. There's lots of things that have been written in the media about Earl Campbell and the coaches and so forth. But I think that's all overdone. And you're going to see a winning football team right here next year. And when these two teams get together next season, there's going to be an awful lot on the line.
I think you're absolutely right. We're set to go. And booted away. It is David Trout taken in the end zone by Willie Tillis. The flag goes down, and he could go. And another flag goes in. They've got a flag down at the 15-yard line. That had to be the longest thrown flag of the season. That one came in from about the 45 and landed at about the 30. 33-yard return.
This flag was thrown early. It's difficult to see on the screen. Then they get another penalty up here. But Tullis does a good job as he breaks through that and almost pops it loose. Officials down there huddling.
Wayne Woodruff finally made the stop on Willie Tillis. Of course, he has one. He's already returned this year.
Illegal push above the waist. Number 58 on the return team.
Now take a look at it right here from the ground level camera. Call is on David Carter. Keep your eyes on number 58 if he comes into view here.
Well, not only is it illegal to use your hands above the waist, it's illegal to do anything above the waist from behind. And that's the terminology has changed some this year. They're trying to
personal foul, late hit against the receiving team. That penalty is declined. Illegal block above the waist against the return team. Number 58. Penalty is accepted.
Well, they accepted that penalty because it happened further back. And there's a fellow who has played some extraordinary football in his career. We came out at the same time in 1969.
He's still playing.
Well, he's smarter than I am, too. But you didn't let me get to that.
It's 1st and 10 now. The ball spotted at the 8-yard line. Earl Campbell brings it out near the 10, possibly across the 10. All right, next Sunday we've got a big one at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. The AFC Wild Card game. It is already decided. The Bills and the New York Jets at Shea Stadium. What a ball game that's going to be. 2nd and 7. Gifford Nielsen to Casper. A 30-yard pickup for Dave Casper.
The Steelers are in a man-to-man defense. Nielsen finds Casper isolated one-on-one with number 59, Jack Ham. And Casper simply beats him down the sideline. The ball is delivered perfectly. Comes back to the inside, picks up a little more yardage. Dave Casper saw him an awful lot out in San Francisco, and the Oilers must have really liked him because they gave up an awful lot to get him down here.
Donnie Shell finally brought him down. In motion, Mike Holston. It is 1st and 10 now after the 30-yard pickup from the 41. Gifford Nielsen rolls left again. The tight end. Casper ran away from is Jack Ham, Gene.
Casper has simply mesmerized Jack Ham, and I don't quite understand why, because Ham is certainly one of the best linebackers in the league, possesses great speed, but you can see that Casper has him beat by 5 yards.
A pickup of 38 yards now, 2 successive plays. Dave Casper, 2 receptions, 68 yards. 6 minutes, 25 seconds to play on the opening period. The Steelers lead it 3-0. The Oilers threatening now. 1st and 10 from the 21. It is Earl Campbell, tries the left side. And he's carrying a lot of black jerseys with him. Inside the 20-yard line goes Earl Campbell. Robin Cole is there finally with a whole host of Pittsburgh Steelers. He set the Houston offense for you. Gifford Nielsen at quarterback. Tim Wilson and Earl Campbell. The receivers, Burrow, Holstead, and Dave Casper. The offensive line, Leon Gray, John Schumacher, Carter, Ed Fisher, Morris Towns. 2nd down and 7. The ball now on the 18-yard line. We're going to take a look at Gifford Nielsen, 4th year out of Brigham Young. Kenny Burrow goes wide right. In motion, Mike Holstead. The give again. Earl Campbell near the 15. He is dragged down by Robin Cole. Let's go to New York, Studio 6A, and Bryant Gumbel. Bryant.
Well, Phil, the Broncos marched into Chicago today needing a win to guarantee themselves a playoff berth. Doesn't look...
San Diego Chargers. If Chicago holds on and beats the Denver Broncos, the Chargers can win the AFC title with the victory tomorrow night over the Oakland Raiders, and that game is in San Diego. Here it is 3rd and 4. Nielsen will put it up. Pressure. Now he goes for it. Dave Casper. Touchdown. Houston.
The fans love it, and Dave Casper has certainly figured in this drive, coming up with his 3rd big catch. Nielsen wanted to go out to the right side, starts to run, looks back to the middle, finds Casper all alone between Donnie Shell and J.T. Thomas for the touchdown.
A 15-yard touchdown. Casper cut passes of 38 and 30 yards on that drive. 3 catches, 83 yards on the drive. Tony Fritsch will try and make it a 7-3 lead. And it is perfect. And I'll tell you, don't tell these 2 teams there's nothing resting on this ball game. What a beautifully thrown pass, Gene.
But look at the poise that Nielsen shows. He starts to run, then he looks downfield. This is what every great quarterback does. When you break that pocket, then those defenders sometimes will start to react to your breaking the pocket, and they'll run away from the receiver they're supposed to be covering. At that point, though, it looked like no one at all was on Casper because he was right in between 2 defenders.
You wonder if the Houston Oilers, in watching the Pittsburgh Steelers defensive films this year, if maybe they saw something, perhaps getting Casper isolated on Jack Ham. You take a look at Kenny Stabler.
There's a snake. I talked to Schaffner, who was my coach out in San Francisco, who's the offensive coordinator here in Houston. And he says this man still has an awful lot of football left in him, in spite of what some of the people might say, particularly in the press. He compared him to John Brody in his last 2 or 3 seasons out in San Francisco. He couldn't throw the 65-yard pass, but who needs to throw 65 yards? Very rarely do you do that.
Tony Fritsch kicks it away. It is Larry Anderson. Oh, look at him motor. But he is wrapped up at the 26-yard line. First man to him was Darrell Hunt. A 20-yard return. The Steelers, like the Oilers, have some speed back there in their kickoff return teams. Take a look at Larry Anderson. Oh, the Steelers will have the ball, their 2nd possession of the afternoon. They scored the first time. They took it all the way down the field. 40-yard field goal by David Trout. There's the scoring drive. 6 plays, 92 yards. Capped by Casper's 16-yard touchdown reception. A lone setback is Franco. Look at him run laterally. He had nowhere to go. Nothing opened up. Ted Washington. Little help from Jesse Baker. You know, you talk about these teams not going anywhere, Gene, in terms of the playoffs. But when you look at the Pro Bowl teams, they have certainly got some performers there.
Mike Webster, Jack Lambert, what a job he's done in the middle. Mel Blount, just an outstanding. As a matter of fact, before they changed the rules where the defender could not bump, Mel Blount was the best defensive back I had ever played against because he used that tremendous strength he had when the defensive back could still bump the receiver downfield.
Pollard. And he is met right there by Mike Reinfeldt, the weak safety. Now Mike Webster, the center for the Steelers, has made his 4th straight Pro Bowl game. He just gets the job done year in and year out. There's a position that is so unrecognized, unheralded.
Playing in his 134th consecutive game, never missed a game. Mike Webster, just a tremendous job in the center.
Like somebody told me yesterday, he's missed only 2 plays in his 8-year career. You believe that?
As a matter of fact, in the game here last year, he had a torn cartilage, but still completed the entire game.
Unreal. 3rd down and 8. Malone.
Intercept.
Oh. That is Bill Kay and Lynn Swan getting their feet wrapped up. A punting situation now for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's go to Bryant Gumbel now in New York.
Well, Phil, what's just happened in Seattle is indicative of what's gone wrong with Cleveland's season. Brian Sipe back to throw for the Browns, picked off by Kenny Easley. 82 yards later, the Seahawks have a 7-0 lead. Sipe had only 14 INTs all last year. This was his 24th of the season. Phil?
Thank you, Bryant. It is 4th down and 7 yards to go here. As Craig Colquitt comes on, he's averaging 43 yards. But he's never had a punt blocked in 4 years in the National Football League. He gets off a beauty. Carl Roaches at the 28. I'll tell you, he gets by that group right there, including Lauren Taves, and it is pay dirt. He is not a very big guy. A 44-yard kick, a 20-yard return for the little man.
Very quick, but so intelligent. One thing that I noticed, as soon as he got into the traffic, saw that he was going to be hit, what did he do? He put 2 hands over the football. Very, very intelligent player.
Look at him. 5'8", only 185 pounds. 2nd year out of Texas A&M. Who says the little man has no place in this game?
Well, if you're that little, your heart has to be as big as that number 5 on his chest. I'll tell you that.
Well put. 1st and 10, the ball at the 48-yard line. The Oilers now shift down to the I. It is Holston in motion to the near side. Kenny Burrow, flag goes down. And I gotta believe it could be roughing the passer as Gifford Nielsen goes down in a heap. John Banaszak was there to put a lot of pressure. Oh, it is against Pittsburgh. Personal foul against the Steelers.
I think there's Joe Green wants to help out on the call.
I didn't know he could officiate.
Joe Green can do anything he wants.
Personal foul, number 56, defense, hit to the quarterback's head. 1st down.
Robin Cole whistled for hitting the quarterback in the head. Take a look.
Little fake pitch, trying to get the ball out to the receiver to Burrows on the quick screen. And this is not intentional. Look, the guy is going for the quarterback. He may hit him before he releases the ball. His momentum carries into him, but that's a judgment call.
Little release pass to Adger Armstrong. He is inside the Steelers' 30-yard line. Armstrong, only 24 catches coming into this game. 1 touchdown through the airways. 2nd year out of Texas A&M.
Free agent, as a matter of fact. Played a lot on special teams, but he catches the football underneath the coverage, does a little weaving, and gets a few yards. There's a guy who's a familiar figure all around the country, Crazy George.
And there is a big, big story surrounding Crazy George here this week. We'll be getting to that later as this game unfolds. It is 2nd down and 3. Earl Campbell runs inside the 25-yard line. He'll be close to a 1st down. I believe he got it. And Earl is slow getting up, and he may not get up. Jack Ham is there to put the hit on him, and Earl will not get up as the medical staff of the Houston Oilers comes out. Look, he's holding his groin area. The wind knocked out of him.
Earl Campbell coming into today's game with 1,352 yards. But do you realize he's only gained 100 yards once against Pittsburgh? And that was in 1979 at 109 yards.
I don't believe he's gained 100 yards in the last 9 games, Gene. He's just not been able to get there. You know, they talk about Houston's one-dimensional offense, and I have to believe, based on the statistics and the way things have gone for the Houston Oilers, that criticism is possibly true. Everybody keys on Earl Campbell.
Well, they key on Earl Campbell, but if you look at the facts, he still has, coming into this game, over 1,300 yards, which is incredible. Now, the problem is when a guy gains 1,900 yards the year before, people say the guy's not having a good year. But he gains 1,300 yards.
Yeah. All right, it is 1st and 10. Gifford Nielsen will put it in the air. Casper cannot hold on. Dwayne Woodruff was right there on him. Nielsen is now 4 for 5 for 90 yards and a touchdown. Look at this guy, number 59, 58, I should say, Jack Lambert.
The man in the middle, voted the MVP by his teammates, I believe, this year. Reaches out there, almost knocks it away. Casper came back to the huddle, looking up at the top of the dome because he knew he should have had that one.
Well, he caught 3 passes on that first Houston touchdown drive. 3 passes for 83 yards and the touchdown. 2nd and 10 from the 25.
It was a blitz. They may have called it off. No, it's coming.
Gifford recovers his own fumble. You were right, Gene.
Dwayne Woodruff, I think they just changed. Instead of having a safety come on the blitz, they changed, and Woodruff came. He'll come from the right side of your screen. You'll see number 49 coming in. There he is. They had the blitz on.
So a loss of almost 6 yards on the play. Earl Campbell leaving the game now. Had the wind knocked out of him. It is Ronnie Coleman and Adger Armstrong, the running backs for the Houston Oilers. 3rd down. 15 yards to go. The ball spotted on the 30. 3 wide receivers now for the Oilers. Nielsen's going to go for Casper and overthrows him badly. Dwayne Woodruff was back there, as was J.T. Thomas. And you wonder if he saw the double coverage and purposely overthrew him. He missed him.
Well, I don't think he purposely overthrew him because that ball was thrown in an area. And Dave is a veteran player and is smart enough to know that if you have no chance to get the football, then don't expose your ribs trying to get it and allow the defender to come in and just knock your helmet off. I think he was trying to get the ball in there, but the only way that would have happened, someone would have had to shoot that ball out of the air with a shotgun and have it drop.
Now Tony Fritsch is on to try and give the Oilers a 10-3 lead. This will come from 47 yards out. And he hits somewhat of a squibber, and I don't believe it's going to make it. And it does not make it. And Gifford Nielsen, the holder, and Fritsch talked things over there just a moment or two, and now they trot off. Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers will take over the ball.
How about those bowl games coming up this New Year's?
I'll tell you, the best college bowl lineup ever is on NBC New Year's Day, Gene. Beginning at 1:30 Eastern Time, Penn State meets Marcus Allen, the Heisman Trophy winner, the Maxwell Trophy winner, and his USC Trojans in the Fiesta Bowl. And Washington takes on Iowa in the Rose Bowl. Finally, the national championship game, number 1 Clemson battles Nebraska. New Year's Day on NBC Sports. First and 10. Franco Harris is really nailed. Oh, Vernon Perry. And Franco is up.
Vernon Perry is playing like a wild man here in the first quarter, and I saw him before the game started. The first thing he said to me is say happy holidays to all of my family in Jackson, Mississippi. And if this game is going into Jackson, Mississippi, happy holidays to all of the Perry family.
Well, it certainly is going into Jackson, Mississippi. 2nd down and 11 now. The ball spotted at the 29-yard line. Well, running back is Franco. He'll take it. And he tries to cut back. He runs for about 5 yards on the play. The first man to trip him up was Greg Bingham. Mike Stensrud brought him down. Speaking of Jackson, Mississippi, Gene, also want to say hello to Gloria Brock and Jamie Taylor. They're in a hospital in Jackson, Mississippi. Mother and sister of our producer, Terry Ewert. We wish both of you a very speedy recovery. Franco, 6 carries for 19 yards. Russell Davis is now into the ball game. Running back for the Steelers. Franco is out. Malone, the blitz, and he's going to be dropped. Jesse Baker. I'll tell you, he leads this team in sacks. He now has 9.5.
I spoke to my old coach out in San Francisco, not to mean that he's old, but Dick Nolan, who's here, and he said, this fella, he said, you'll see number 75, Jesse Baker. He said he is potential an all-pro player. A lot of people use that term freely, potential all-pro, but they say that this guy can really play football, and he has great speed. 11-yard loss on that play. Credited to number 75, Jesse Baker.
Frank Colquitt gets it away. Oh, that's a little squibber. Carl Roaches may have a return. He takes it on one bounce. Look at this guy go. Oh, is he exciting to watch. Russell Davis brings him down, but not before he brings it back 17 yards to the Steeler 43-yard line. Only a 37-yard kick for Colquitt. And that is the end of the first quarter of play here. The Steelers trailing the Houston Oilers 7-3. We'd like to welcome those of you who have been watching the Denver-Chicago game. What a ball game. The Chicago Bears over the Denver Broncos 35-24, and that certainly opens the door for the San Diego Chargers to win it all in terms of the AFC Western Division chase tomorrow night against their arch rivals, the Oakland Raiders, here at the Astrodome. It is 7-3. The Oilers lead the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm Phil Stone along with Gene Washington. And though neither of these teams will go anywhere in terms of Pete Rozelle's postseason party, we certainly expect this one to be a great rivalry. It always is. As you take a look at the man with the broken hand.
Before Terry Bradshaw injured his hand, the Steelers certainly had a chance to make the playoffs again. And if they had gotten into the playoffs, they're capable of beating everyone, and they could have gone all the way to the Super Bowl. But this guy is so key. He's such a great athlete, such an important part of this football team. Without him in there, it makes things awfully tough.
First and 10, the Houston Oilers with the football at the Steeler 44. They already have a 7-3 lead. This is Earl Campbell. And he takes on J.T. Thomas one-on-one, and Thomas drops him. I don't know how many 196-pound free safeties could drop Earl Campbell.
I think only when Earl will allow them to do that.
I want to reset for you the Houston offense. There's Gifford Nielsen at quarterback, the running backs, Earl Campbell, Adger Armstrong, the wide receivers, Ken Burrows, and Mike Holston. The tight end is Dave Casper. Nielsen will put it up. A little flare to Campbell. And he is met right there by Robin Cole, a 50-year man out of New Mexico. Pickup of maybe 4 yards on the play. It'll still be third and an awful long way to go for the Oilers.
Robin Cole, number 56, that outside linebacker for the Steelers, is really having an outstanding year. Second on the team this year in tackles with 80. And really plays the run. Plays the run as well as any linebacker in the league. Tremendous strength and loves to hit people.
Ronnie Coleman and Adger Armstrong now the running backs as Campbell goes off on 3rd and 9 from the 42.
Could be a blitz, and it's going to be It's going to be offsides too. I think they have a free down.
And he is dropped. And the man doing the dropping is the defensive tackle on the left side, Tom Beasley out of Virginia Tech, and the flag is down.
Unless they were drawn off, one of the Steelers was certainly offsides.
He was, you're right. And I believe it was Bob Coors. I'll wait for the official ruling. Instead of 3rd and 9, it will now be about 3rd and 4. Let's listen to Bob McElwee.
Offside, defense, nose guard, 3rd down.
Well, nose guard, they really don't have a nose guard per se, but either Beasley or...
I think it was Coors.
For Coors.
So now it is 3rd and 4. That certainly affects play selection. Going to the top of your screen, Kenny Burrow. Coming to the bottom is Mike Holston, the rookie out of Morgan State. Running backs Coleman and Adger Armstrong.
There comes a blitz.
Here it comes. And Kenny Burrow, he was running the post pattern. And it appeared as if Gifford Nielsen was throwing for a flag, and he did not find anybody there. We'll leave you for just a moment. Let's go to Bryant Gumbel in New York.
Thank you, Phil. With 3 wins and 30 tries, you know the Colts and the Patriots are pretty bad. But here's visual evidence. Terrific pass by Bert Jones. Nonetheless, the Colts in the 4th period are out in front of the only team they can beat this year, the Patriots. It's 23-14. Phil?
Good shot. There's a good shot of them discussing what happened on that play, because obviously Ken Burrow thought it was going to be to the inside, to the post. Nielsen thought it was going to be outside to the corner.
So it is 4th and 4. And Cliff Parsley is. And now they got a lot of pushing and shoving going on down there. A lot of pushing and shoving. Get the call here. I think what was happening is Cliff Parsley was hoping for a delay of game to move the ball 5 yards back and give him a better chance of putting it out inside the 20-yard line. Now let's see what's going to be against. It will be against the Houston Oilers.
Ball start, number 51, offense, 4th down.
And it is against Ted Thompson. So now it is 4th and 9 from the 42. And that'll give Mr. Parsley a little bit more room to hopefully keep Larry Anderson away from it. In motion is Willie Tullis. Now he sets up in tight. Again, a long count. And Parsley puts it straight up in the air. And Anderson calling for a fair catch. Oh, see where that ball just sailed. And is down at the 7-yard line. So the Steelers have the football. They trail in this ball game 7-3. We'll be back in just a moment.
Behind every Schlitz is a man who knows his beer.
Down here in Texas, people know a good beer. Many choose the taste of my Schlitz. Just one glass. Tell a lot of beer drinkers what I've known all along. You just can't buy a better tasting beer than Schlitz.
What do I really think? I think Schlitz tastes better than Miller. Schlitz tastes really smooth.
Mr. Sellinger, your Schlitz tastes good. It really does.
I'm glad you like it.
Behind every Schlitz is a man who knows his beer.
Germany, home of Volkswagen. What's a Mazda GLC doing here? Making a point about outstanding value in an economy car. Because while the sophisticated GLC offers the performance, economy, and versatility you expect in a front-wheel drive economy car, it offers it at a price you most certainly don't expect. The more you look at some of the finest economy cars in the world, the more you like the 1982 Mazda GLC.
13 minutes, 24 seconds to play in the 2nd period. It is the Steelers trailing the Oilers 7-3. Gene, how hard is it getting up for a last ball game, particularly when you know there's really nothing resting on it?
Well, one thing you don't want to happen in the last game is to get injured, because you don't want to spend the entire offseason rehabilitating. The best way not to get injured is to play hard.
That's a good point. It is 1st and 10. The Steelers starting deep in their own territory from the 7-yard line. Flag goes down. It'll be offsides, I believe, against the Oilers. Sidney Thornton brings it out near the 10-yard line. It is against the Houston Oilers. Sure, it will be encroachment against the left side of their defensive line. Frank Pollard is coming in to replace Sidney Thornton.
There's 67. I think that's Stensrud out there.
Offside, number 67, defense, 1st down.
It is against Mike Stensrud. So it is now 1st and 5 from the 12-yard line. Coming out wide to the left is Calvin Sweeney. Malone, the give is to Pollard. And he turns the corner at the 15 and is really upended by Mike Stensrud.
And Vernon Perry.
Perry, I'll never forget the game Vernon Perry had against the San Diego Chargers in the playoffs 3 years ago.
But watch this play. Look at this tackle. Picture perfect.
Perry had 4 interceptions that day. Pastorini was out of that game. Earl Campbell was out of the game. Now you take a look at sellout crowd here in the Astrodome. It is now 2nd down and 1 from the 16, and Malone's going to put it in the air. And he hits Jim Smith It is a first down outside the 23-yard line. Let's go to Studio 6A in New York and Bryant Gumbel.
Phil, when you've lost 14 in a row, it's the Colts half. I guess you'll try anything. Busted play here. Bert Jones figures it's easier to hide the ball. Nonetheless, it looks like the Colts might beat the Patriots for the second time this year. They lead 23-14. Phil?
Well, the interesting thing about that, Gene, is somebody has to win that game. We did their first ball game, the season opener up in New England, when Baltimore registered its only victory coming into today's game. Play action, Mark Malone. Lots of time, releases to the far side. It is Franco Harris out near the 28-yard line. And he is dropped immediately by Robert Brazil. Well, look at Franco.
Brazil got his sights on him, but watch this beautiful fake by Malone. Look at that. He held that ball back there. They didn't see it. Had plenty of time. Couldn't get what he wanted downfield. Went out to the sideline to his outlet, Franco. Franco does his little dance, but he doesn't fool Brazil.
It is Harris and Sidney Thornton, the running backs now for the Steelers. Second down and 6. The ball at the 28-yard line. 11 minutes, 13 seconds to play in the first half here at the Dome. Little misdirection fake to Franco. He's out near the 30-yard line. Let's take a look at all the early scores around the National Football League today. There you see a big, big game in the chase for the AFC West. Chicago over the Denver Broncos, 35-24. Another big one. Look at here. Tampa Bay over Detroit, 20-17. That gives the Bucs the title in the NFC
right.
Central.
First loss for Detroit at home. Kansas City, 10 over Minnesota, who had 6.
One. The Jets pasting the Green Bay Packers 28-3. Big, big scores. Flags are down. It is Frank Pollard, and he is upended. Elvin Bethea. A lot of pressure there. You can see Pollard come out. Mike Reinfeldt's the guy who ultimately flipped him head over heels. But a flag is down. And let's take a look at which way they're going to walk it. It will be against the Houston Oilers, I believe.
Pollard had started. Let's listen.
Offside, number 65. Defense, decline, first down.
It is Bethea. You take a look at Ed Biles.
I was about to say that Pollard had started 10 games before he got injured. 10 straight games before he got injured. An average 4.7 yards per carry, which is one of the highest in the NFL.
First and 10. Play action, Malone. Oh, and the man he was looking for was Calvin Sweeney. Could not hit him.
Jim Smith, I think. Is that 86? It's hard to tell.
It is 86. You're right. It is Jim Smith. Now Philadelphia tuning up for the playoffs. Beating up on Jimmy Hanovan, St. Louis Cardinals 38-0.
Well, the Cardinals have been playing pretty good football prior to this game. There's Chuck Noll on the sideline. Just an outstanding career coming in. I think in this first draft, picked Joe Green. I think Joe Green and Greenwood, I think in the same draft his first year.
Second and 10. It is Franco.
Oh!
Oh, what a job by Greg Stemrick coming up from his cornerback spot.
There has been some crisp tackling in this ball game.
It certainly has.
You say that a game doesn't mean anything, you watch this tackle. Stemrick comes up and he lays it. Oh! Makes a great tackle.
Well, that's got to hurt. Now you take a look at Greg Stemrick. He is not a big guy. 5'11", 185 pounds, taking on a guy that's 6'2", 225 pounds.
And he went to the Pro Bowl for the first time last year. Had an outstanding season.
Third and 11, Malone. Now we'll have to run out of the pocket. Oh,
that could be an interception.
Flag is down. Sweeney has the football and drops it.
Well, it could be. It could go either way. This could go against the offense. Well, they're bringing everybody down. They're going to call it against the defense. But this was a jump ball. This was a complete jump ball, and both people have a right to it. Judge for yourself. I don't think it was interference.
I don't think so either.
I don't think it was interference at all.
It looked like an awfully clean play. Both guys going for the football, and that is the key if you're going for the ball.
Both people have a right to the football. The rule says, though, is that You can't impair another person's ability to go for the football, but both men have a right to it. And in that situation, I think the defender, the ball was underthrown so much, he simply stopped, turned around, was going to jump for the ball. The receiver came across and, if anything, bumped into him.
Well, a big play now for the Pittsburgh Steelers on 1st and 10. The ball at the 27, 9:26 to play. And the first half. Franco puts his head down and slams his way to the 25-yard line. Art Stringer is there, as is Greg Bingham.
Franco Harris coming into this game with 10,303 yards. Needs only 29 more yards to get over 1,000 for 8 years of going over 1,000 yards.
And he'd be the first player in the history of the National Football League to do it. Well, that's hard to believe when you look back at guys like O.J. and Jimmy Brown, Leroy Kelly.
There comes a blitz.
Here comes a blitz. Malone unloads near side. It is Calvin Sweeney.
And they're going to rule he didn't have both feet in bounds.
And Greg Stemmerich was the guy applying the pressure. Calvin Sweeney is not a guy the Oilers are looking for to catch a whole lot of passes here today. He's only caught 2 all year.
Well, the Oilers are coming with everybody. They're blitzing. Now you can see that his back foot did not come down in bounds, and it would not have come down even if Stemmerich had not pushed him. And that's the key. If you can come down with both feet in bounds without the defender pushing you out, that's the way the official will judge it. And in this situation, obviously he was correct, because had the defender not even touched him, his foot would not have come down in bounds.
Now you look at Mark Malone on 3rd and 8 from the 25. And Carter Hartwig, the 5th man in the nickel backfield, is the man who intercepts the ball. There's a timeout. We'll be back in just a moment.
For the special times, for the happy times, for what's been, for what will be, for all the years and all the tears, for what you mean to me, for all you give me, a diamond, and forever I give to you.
Don't you have more than Christmas to celebrate? Give her a diamond.
Angelo's been working overtime on his flips. He needs the deodorant that works overtime.
Senator, Joe's been working overtime to get his story. But he needs the deodorant that works overtime.
Only Old Spice Stick deodorant gives you both 24-hour protection from odor, plus that famous Old Spice scent.
Fluck has been working overtime, learning the new plays. Sure glad my Old Spice Stick works overtime, too.
Old Spice Stick, the deodorant that works overtime.
This is Sally. This is Bryant Gumbel in New York. In Seattle, the Cleveland Browns season appears to have hit rock bottom. Charlie White has the ball popped loose here. Greg Johnson takes it into the end zone, and the Browns at 5-10 on the year are trailing 28-0 at the half. Phil?
Well, Mark Malone, who in the 2 games prior to this had thrown for a 55% completion average, certainly didn't help things right here as he threw the ball right to number 36, the 5th man in the nickel defense, Carter Hartwig.
Now that is only Carter Hartwig's 6th interception in his 3 years in the National Football League, and he has 3 of them this year. And more importantly, it gives Houston the football. And down goes Gifford Nielsen. I believe he was going to try a little quarterback roll there. But Robin Cole sniffed it out and dropped him anyway.
Well, this is a situation where you have the right defensive call for the right offensive play, because Robin Cole was coming on a blitz. Gifford coming out on a bootleg and just simply ran right into his open arms.
And he loses 11 yards, so it is now 2nd down and 21. Well, you hear so much about Jack Ham and Jack Lambert, you almost forget about Robin Cole back there at linebacker spot for these Steelers.
There's only so much room in a newspaper when you have a team with so many stars like Pittsburgh has. 3 Super Bowls, somebody's going to miss the meat.
Earl Campbell is wrapped up. And that is Jack Lambert.
especially the big man in the middle, number 58. Earl Campbell is as big as any back I've ever seen. Looks a lot like Jim Brown, except a little shorter. Powerful, powerful legs. As I mentioned before, coming into this game with over 1,300 yards, but because he had, I think, 1,900 last year, people say he's slacked off a little bit. But when an offense is geared around a guy like Earl Campbell, he's going to take an awful lot of punishment.
3rd and 18 from the 20. Gifford Nielsen with time. He's got Holston. And he's got a first down at the 40-yard line. Jack Lambert tripped him up, or Holston might have been gone.
Well, that's what you call threading the needle. The coaches love number 84, Mike Holston. The first draft choice this year. They picked him in the 3rd round. They say he's an intelligent player, and they say, more importantly, he's not afraid to go across the middle.
A pickup of 21 yards. I want to apologize. We have temporarily lost the picture portion of our telecast. We are working very, very diligently to restore it for you. 1st and 10, the ball now at the 40-yard line. 6:36 to go in the first half. Earl Campbell off left tackle, runs for about 3 yards on the play.
Dragging number 56, Robin Cole, who grabs that ankle and just holds on for about 3 yards.
J.T. Thomas also moving up to bring him down. It is now 2nd down and 7. From the 43. The clock is running here in the 2nd quarter. 6:05 to play. The Oilers in possession of a 7-3 lead over Pittsburgh. Gifford Nielsen will put it up. Again, he's got Holston. A big, big play to the 35-yard line of the Pittsburgh Steelers before Donnie Shell brings him down. Again, we want to apologize. We have no picture right now. We are working very hard to restore it for you. We will give you a radio play-by-play until we get it back to you. A pickup of 22 yards. Nielsen to Holston.
Well, let me see if I can describe that for the fans at home. The same exact play that worked so well. Holston from the right side of the field going down about 10 yards and breaking to the post. Nielsen threading the needle between the linebackers. Perfect pass. Good reception.
Earl Campbell, he'll be dropped for a loss. He tried to go through right tackle. It was really stacked up there by Banaszak and Joe Green. He was trying to run parallel to the line of scrimmage, and things just backed up on him. So a loss of about a yard on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 11. Call it 2nd and 12 from the 37.
Two veteran players, Joe Green, number 75, number 68, L.C. Greenwood, who are now alternating. Coming in and playing series, they're alternating with Beasley and Goodman. Two players that have meant so much to the Pittsburgh organization.
2nd down and 12 from the 37. Burrow and Mike Holston are wide left, and Gifford's looking for him. He underthrows this time to Adger Armstrong at the 30-yard line. It would have been a pickup of about 7, but he dropped the ball. Jack Lambert was all over him. And the crowd thinks it was pass interference. I think it was a good clean.
With the Oilers leading the Steelers by a score of 7-3 in the 2nd period, we're experiencing some technical difficulty from that game emanating from the Astrodome. So while we try to get it repaired, we can do so with the promise that as soon as we do get it repaired, we'll give you that ball game again. But for the moment, let's go down to Fulton County Stadium in Atlanta, join Charlie Jones and Lenny Dawson for the Bengals-Falcons game.
They have problems in the Houston-Pittsburgh telecast, so they've now joined us. We'd like to welcome those. It is Cincinnati 17, Atlanta 7, and this is a wild football game. A quick update. Cincinnati scoring on an Anderson to M.L. Harris 21-yard touchdown pass, and then Jim Breach added a 45-yard field goal to make it 10-0. Bartkowski to Lynn Kane, 10-yard touchdown pass, a 57-yard. Then Anderson to the rookie Collingsworth, 74-yard touchdown pass. In and out of Lynn Kane's hands. It is intercepted by Reggie Williams. That is his 4th interception of the season and the first turnover by the Atlanta Falcons. So the turnovers are even 1-1.
That is the 2nd pass that Bartkowski has thrown with such velocity that it's gone right through the receiver's hands. The first time it didn't affect him. This time it did because it's going back to Cincinnati. And you can see it hits him right in the chest or shoulders. Bounces up in the air, and Reggie Williams is there, picks up the interception, and excellent field position for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Cincinnati has the football at the 50-yard line. 9:58, the time remaining. We're in the 2nd quarter here in Atlanta. And, of course, a win for the Cincinnati Bengals. that would mean they would have the home field advantage for all of their playoff games. They already have it for the game 2 weeks from today, or 2 weeks from this weekend.
One thing for a quarterback to know, it's cold down there. Your hands get cold, and it's not as easy to hold on the ball. You have to take off something on your throw sometime. That's a case right there where Bartkowski should have taken something off that throw.
Bingo showing motion. Far side pass is complete. Collinsworth steps out of bounds, stops the clock. Kenny Johnson was there for Atlanta. A gain of 6 yards on the play to the 44-yard line. Let's check that scoreboard. Washington 16, the Rams 7, second quarter.
Baltimore leading New England 23-21 in the fourth quarter, and that is for the first-round draft choice. That's a very important football game.
Just a minute to go. Minute to go in that ball game. Chris Collinsworth, 3 receptions, 87 yards and a touchdown. Second and 4. Little play action. Anderson's all alone. He's going to run for the sideline. Picks up the first down, steps out of bounds, and he does it, if you will notice, with about 4 inches to spare, and that is the touch of an 11-year veteran.
Well, he leads all the National Football League quarterbacks in rushing with 311 yards, but he runs wisely. I think to the folks who watched the game yesterday between Miami and Buffalo and see David Woodley run, he doesn't run as wisely as Ken Anderson.
He will in his 11th year, though.
Of course, he hasn't taken the shots that Ken Anderson has taken.
But you remember 11 years ago when everybody said, where's Augustana and who do they play? And we would run down the whole conference. Boy, what a year Ken Anderson has had. His finest. And he is, at this moment, the finest quarterback in the NFL. Alexander. And Charles picks up the first down as he goes to the 29-yard line. He's got 11. Kuykendall was there.
Well, you know, one thing on that play there was a good run by Alexander, but I'm looking at the tackling out there by Atlanta. And the tackling isn't that good because he's running through various arms of the defensive linemen and linebackers. They've got to start getting the shoulder pads into the players. They want to stop these backs because Cincinnati's a fired-up football team. They're in the playoffs, the first time since 1973. They can smell some things out there. They can smell that championship ring.
29-yard line, first down. Pete Johnson inside the 25 to the 24. He'll get 5. It'll be second down and 5. Buddy Curry with the tackle. We've just been on the phone with New York City, and we would like to extend an apology to all of those that were watching the Pittsburgh-Houston game, particularly those in the Pittsburgh and Houston area that want to watch their home team. But it is another of the ongoing problems that have been plaguing us with the phone company, and that is the reason for the switch to this ball game. Simply that something is trying to be worked out, and so far this season when those problems have arisen, it has not been able to be worked out. That is the report from New York. We'd like to apologize again. But while you're here, stay with us because we've got an exciting one. And then just from Lynn and myself, we're kind of glad you joined us.
Pete Johnson, number 46, just rambling up the middle for another first down for the Cincinnati Bengals. And you look at the offense and the running game for Cincinnati, they don't go sideways very much, particularly with this big man. He's 250 pounds. Don't send him sideways, send him straight ahead, because you get him to the line of scrimmage, he's got to pick up at least 3 or 4 yards.
18-yard line, first down Cincinnati. Bengals out in front by 10, 17-7. Archie Griffin. Griffin breaks it inside the 10. Gets the tackle. He'll score. Archie Griffin, that is his 4th touchdown of the year. And he scores from 18 yards out.
I think you're hearing the response of the fans here in Atlanta. One reason is I just mentioning the tackling of Atlanta's defensive unit. That time he broke about 3 tackles. People are trying to grab that runner with their arms. You can't do it. These runners for Cincinnati are determined. They're expecting to win this football game and go to the playoffs. Here you are, just arms right around there, grabbing at him. He just shakes him loose. Tom Pridemore, number 27, had his hands on him, but couldn't bring him down. That's when you got to use the shoulder pads against runners and running with the determination of Cincinnati.
Jim Breach adds the point after a drive of 50 yards in 6 plays, and it was set up by Reggie Williams' interception. Cincinnati out in front. 24-7. We'll be back with the kickoff.
Behind every Schlitz is a man who knows his beer.
Schlitz is downright good. I think it's even better than Miller. I'm from Germany. I do think I know a bit about beer, and this is really good beer.
Hey, I'm loyal to my Bud, but I think Schlitz beat it out.
I like the taste of Schlitz. It's as simple as that.
In 40 years as a master brewer, this Schlitz is my smoothest. Have you tasted my Schlitz?
Behind every Schlitz is a man who knows his beer. Well, we've got a nifty car and we're gonna hit the road every day. Pontiac J car, Pontiac J. With the radio blast and we'll be cruising just as far as we can. Pontiac J car, J2000. You can come along with us 'cause we got a lot of things to do. Pontiac J car, and we'll have fun, fun, fun. 'Cause we're driving in our Pontiac J. Fun, fun, 'cause we're driving in our Pontiac J. Fun, fun.
Pontiac, now the excitement begins.
You down? Escape to Hawaii. Top pros hang 10 through pounding surf in men's World Cup surfing. Then America's best men gymnasts take on a dynamic Chinese team in U.S.-China gymnastics. Plus wild jet ski racing. Next Saturday on NBC Sports World.
Archie Griffin just scoring his 4th touchdown of the year. Jim Breach will be kicking off to Mr. Excitement. Hold on to your helmet. It's Reggie Smith on the return. Takes it at the 12, to the 20. And he scoots to about the 30 of the 31-yard line where Rick Rosano brings him down. We've got a timeout. Cincinnati has the lead. We'll be back in a moment.
Atari would like to thank you for taking us into your homes. We wish you all a happy holiday.
I know what you mean. My broker says if I want to beat inflation, I've got to get into the stock market. What does your broker say?
Well, my broker is E.F. Hutton. And E.F. Hutton says...
When E.F. Hutton talks, people listen.
Reggie Smith has 5 returns for 109 yards. Congratulations to the telephone company. They fixed it up. You can see the Houston-Pittsburgh game. Let's go back there. Here's Phil Stone. Phil?
Phil Stone and Gene Washington. We want to welcome those of you who have been watching the Cincinnati-Atlanta games. This play from Gifford Nielsen to Dave Casper has given the Houston Oilers a 14-3 lead over the Pittsburgh Steelers. We are live with you once again. The Steelers on the move. The ball is tipped. Mark Malone's pass is tipped by Robert Brazile. He was looking.
Trying to get it out to Franco Harris. Out in the flat. Robert Brazile throwing up the hands, the big mittens, knocks it away.
We've got 1:48 to play here in the first half. It is Houston 14, the Steelers 3. 2 Gifford Nielsen passes to Dave Casper. Casper 3 catches today, 4 catches for over 100 yards. It is 2nd and 10. The Oilers on the move. Malone. All the time in the world. Now he's going to run it. Now he'll unload. Oh, and it was almost picked up by J.C. Wilson. Man he was looking for was John Stallworth. Pass just simply not high enough.
No, it wasn't, but had he seen Lynn Swann a little earlier, he would have had a touchdown. Malone does a good job once he decides to start running the football. Now he's going to look up to see if someone has come open. As you mentioned before, I don't think he even saw J.C. Wilson there because it would have been an interception.
J.C. Wilson has had, I think, a very good year. He's come under a lot of heat from the fans and the media here in the Houston area. But he has been playing hurt almost since the first game of the year. He has had one injury after another. And a credit to J.C. Wilson. He has tried to play hurt all year long. 3rd and 10, the ball at the 20 as the Oiler fans come alive. Malone for Swann, and it is tipped away. Swann had it just a moment. It just flew right off his fingertips.
Well, gives Lynn Swann credit. for beating the double coverage because there are two guys on him, and he simply outruns the double coverage. You'll see he comes inside. You see on the top of your screen, coming to the top of your screen, he runs past Vernon Perry, goes up. In the Super Bowl, he made one of those catches, but that one was just a little bit too high. There's Mark Malone, who, by the way, as a receiver, caught a touchdown pass for these very same Pittsburgh Steelers, a team record.
It was against Seattle, a 90-yard reception. Dave Trout will try and make it a 14-6 ball game. He's got plenty of distance, and he is right on the money. Show 1 minute, 30 seconds to play in the first half. It is Houston 14, the Pittsburgh Steelers with 6. We'll be back in just a moment.
The high-speed roads of Germany where the BMW runs free. What's a Mazda 626 Sport Coupe doing here? Making a point about outstanding value in a road car. Because while the 626 offers the performance, luxury, and economy you expect in a refined road car, it offers it at a price you most certainly don't expect. The more you look at some of the finest road cars in the world, the more you like the 1982 Mazda 626.
Behind every Schlitz is a man who knows his beer.
The people in St. Louis know their beer, but as a master brewer...
Schlitzer.
Thank you. I know one taste of my Schlitz can change a lot of minds. And now more people know.
I like Schlitz better than Bud.
I'm a Miller drinker, but you have to taste Schlitz to believe it.
Mr. Sillinger, your Schlitz tastes good. It's a good tasting beer.
Here's to it.
Behind every Schlitz is a man who knows his beer.
Next Saturday, Wildcat fans have plenty to cheer about when Dean Smith's #1 ranked Tar Heels of North Carolina battle it out with the second-ranked Wildcats of Kentucky, right here on the home of great college basketball, NBC Sports.
And this is all the Pittsburgh Steelers are playing for as the 1981 season is wrapping up with the Steelers and the Houston Oilers. Need a victory today. Register their 10th straight winning season since World War II. It is Roaches from the 6.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Look at this guy go.
Sometimes a bobble in this situation can actually work to your advantage because it allows your blockers a little more time to set up. Bobbles the ball, finally gets his hands on it. Now you'll see he runs up in here and he gets great blocking. There's simply no one around him for about 25 yards, makes some great cuts, picks up a 49-yard gain.
Gifford Nielsen swings it out now to Campbell. And he is hit right on the spot there by Mel Blount. There's Carl Roaches, 5'8", 185 pounds. Oh, tell you, when he gets up ahead of steam, looks like a blur, just a blur. A timeout now, 2nd and 8. When we come back, the score, the Oilers 14, Pittsburgh 6.
Yes, New York, I think we have that information coming in.
These busy executives in 3 different cities are all at the same conference, a teleconference. They solve their problems without leaving the office through the Bell Network, the world's most advanced information management system. That reduces travel, cuts costs, gets more done. You are also part of the network. Use it. Put our knowledge to work for you. The Information Management Network from Bell.
Radio Shack makes Christmas dreams come true.
Oh, I love the frog.
Cuddly animals with a radio inside.
Maybe Santa will bring it.
Dependable portable radios. A Pekingese and raccoon. A frog and a lovable floppy dog. And a cuddly cat or a cute brown spaniel. Furry friends in a musical menagerie that'll delight your kids or teens alike.
Daddy, Santa brought my frog from Radio Shack.
Only at Radio Shack, your Christmas electronics store. Has the cold weather got you down? Escape to Hawaii. Top pros hang 10 through pounding surf in men's World Cup surfing. Then America's best men gymnasts take on a dynamic Chinese team in U.S.-China gymnastics. Plus wild jet ski racing. Next Saturday on NBC Sports World.
Gene, let's take a look at Carl Roach's return again. I wonder if when there's a fumble on the play, if the Steelers break their normal routes in getting to the ball carrier.
That's one thing that can't happen because they think they'd have a chance to go down and recover it now. Get a little careless. Player gets hold of the ball and comes back, as he did in this situation. The guy gets out of his lane. Things are wide open.
It is 2nd and 8. Back to live action. To give is to Earl Campbell, and he is hit right away by Robin Cole. He'll be lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage. Clock continues to run. We are now inside a minute to play in the first half. 58 seconds, 57. The Oilers lead this ball game 14-6. They scored the first time they had the ball, marched the length of the field. 92 yards. Dave Casper, 3 catches for 83 of those 92 yards, including a 16-yard touchdown reception. And he caught another touchdown pass in the second period. Gifford Nielsen to Burrow. And Kenny Burrow, with his first catch of the day, has it. A first down at the 23. Jack Lambert drops him. Again, the clock continues to run. Houston stops it, has called a timeout. And while they take timeout, we will too. A 19-yard reception for Burrow. We'll be back.
Achtung, there it is. Pontiac's new 6000.
Wow, I've never seen a Pontiac like that before.
It's Pontiac's answer to the world's great road cars.
I believe it. What's it got?
Front-wheel drive. 4-cylinder engine with electronic fuel injection. Power rack and pinion steering. Optional V6 or diesel. Everything.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Now the excitement really begins.
There's a hungry kind of feeling, and every day it grows. You know there's so much more to you than anybody knows.
Specialist Kevin Crowley is working with tomorrow's technology in the Army's newest tank.
All that you can be.
The laser determines target range and feeds it to the computer.
All that you can be.
It's just incredible.
'Cause we need you in the Army.
Ring in the holidays. Ring out the year. Sparkling with Andre. Love and good cheer. Take Andre home for the holidays. Andre for the holidays.
What's a celebration without Andre Champagne to lend sparkle and elegance to your good times? Greet the season and your friends with the best. Andre.
For the holidays and all year long.
Phil Stone and Gene Washington from the Astrodome in Houston, Texas, reminding you that coming up at halftime in just 31 seconds, Brian Gumbel will have all the scores and highlights on NFL 81. Studio 6A in New York. There you take a look at Gifford Nielsen statistics. Very, very impressive. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Play action. Nielsen once more. He's going for Holston. And he cannot drag it in. Good coverage back there by Dwayne Woodruff. The left corner. Dwayne Woodruff, he is the fastest player on this Pittsburgh Steelers team. Runs the 40 in something like 4.4 seconds.
Well, he showed it here because he was in excellent position. Had his man covered all the way. And Holston has done a good job. The Oilers' #1 draft choice in the 3rd round. They didn't have their #1 nor #2, but they gave that up to Oakland to get Dave Casper.
Now they're very, very high on Mike Holston, as you mentioned. It is 2nd and 10. 26 seconds to play. Holston comes wide right. Burrow, the top of your screen. Again, Gifford will put it in the air. He underthrows the coverage. It is Adger Armstrong, and a flag is down. At about the 10-yard line. I believe it's going to be against Jack Ham. He's waving his arms. He and Holston were going at it.
I think he interfered against Dave Casper. I think that's what they got him.
Oh, they're calling it, I believe, either against Casper or Holston. And Casper's talking to the official.
It looked like a basketball play down there. The 2 guys came in each other. It was like a pick. And evidently they decided that one of the Oilers was at fault.
And they're talking to Jack Lambert, and I'm sure Jack is going to have him walk it off and get him out of field goal range. 19 seconds to play here in the first half. The Oilers a 14-6 lead. Let's listen to Bob McElwee.
Offensive pass interference, number 87. 2nd down.
Well, Dave Casper's done so many things right today. suppose his teammates will excuse him for doing one thing wrong. 2 touchdown catches, 4 receptions in all for over 105 yards. So now it is second down in a bundle, 2nd and 20 from the 33.
They're coming on
here
the
they
blitz.
come. And it's knocked down, batted down at the line of scrimmage. And that stops the clock on the incompletion. John Goodman was in there. Lambert was in there.
Well, the Steelers, they brought everybody. They're coming in there trying to put the pressure on the quarterback, make him get rid of the football in a hurry. And he had a man open, but it was knocked away. I think that was John Goodman that batted that football away. Number 95.
So the clock is stopped. That ticked 4 seconds off the clock. It is now 15 seconds to play. Take a look at Goodman. Nielsen, they're coming again. This time he unloads. Could be picked off, and it is. It is J.T. Thomas. And he is dragged down from behind, I believe, by Dave Casper. And with 5 seconds to play, the Pittsburgh Steelers will have a shot.
Well, Gifford Nielsen is certainly unhappy with himself. He went off the field flapping his arm because he knew he threw this football away. He had no chance at all. He should have held on to it, taken the loss.
Radio Shack's spectacular Christmas stereo sale.
I just got a great buy for my stereo system. These Radio Shack speakers on sale now for $39.95 each. That's half price. A real bargain. A 2-way bass reflex system, incredible bass, clear crisp highs, and a rich walnut veneer finish. Looks great. Sounds great. Radio Shack's 2-for-1 speaker buy makes stereo really affordable.
On sale now for $39.95 each. Only at Radio Shack, your Christmas electronics store.
Behind every Schlitz is a man who knows his beer.
The people here in California know their beer. In fact, beer is a big part of their Oktoberfest. Schlitz, please. And for our master brewer, the final test is a beer drinker's taste.
I think Schlitz tastes a little better than Bud.
It's nice and mellow. I like it.
I'm impressed. This Schlitz really tastes good.
Mr. Sellinger, I'll go with your Schlitz.
I knew you would.
Behind every Schlitz is a man who knows his beer.
5 seconds to play here in the first half. Don't forget, we'll be going to New York and Bryant Gumbel for scores, highlights, updates all around the NFL. As the wild card possibilities are being nailed down all over. 5 seconds to play. Mark Malone will have time to put it up, and he will not put it up. It'll be Franco Harris still on his feet. And time has expired after Franco runs for about 6 yards on that play. So the Houston Oilers, trailing early 3-0, came back on their first possession, marched the length of the field. A very, very impressive march, Gene.
The tight end, Dave Casper, has been simply fantastic in this first half, coming up with 2 big touchdown passes, but in that one drive, catching 3 key passes, and it's just looked absolutely terrific. Nielsen has just loaded that arm today. He has no hesitation at all, no fear of throwing into the zone, and it's been very impressive.
Now there you take a look at Terry Bradshaw, the man with the broken right hand. The interesting thing, we talked about it very early in this game, that if Mark Malone were to go down and could not play, Terry Bradshaw could possibly come on, and as you mentioned, he's the only guy they could turn to other than Lynn Swan, who quarterbacked, I believe, in high school.
In Sierra High School out in California. But Bradshaw has thrown the ball this week in practice, not very much, but there's no way they want to put him in a situation that might risk further injury.
Gene, there has been a lot of talk around here for the last few weeks about Earl Campbell, whether or not he will be traded at the end of this season. Earl comes out and says, I'm expecting the worst. I think Earl's reacting to everything that has been said in the media in Houston, Texas.
Well, Earl Campbell is such an outstanding player. You just look at his statistics. It's hard to believe that someone could be so impressive statistically. 1,400 yards or so, I think, his first year, 16-something the next year, 1,900 yards last year, 1,300 this year. Whenever a team goes through a transition period, it happened out in San Francisco. We had some great personnel out there. We had an off year. People started saying, comparing one guy to what he'd done before and not looking at the guy compared to other players throughout the league. I don't think
Hospital. Her passenger, Elizabeth Felger, is in serious condition. 2 men armed with automatic weapons are still on the loose after holding up a down...
I'll be seeing your smiling face this holiday.
Share every
The Toys for Tots program.
Pictures by Kodak.
Share love and joy this special way.
This Christmas, bring home the gift of a smile, the gift of love, and the gift that lets you share them. The Kodak Colorburst Instant Camera.
When we share these special times, I'll be seeing you.
Give the gift of instant joy.
Today at General Motors, we are continuing to push safety technology forward. The front end of a GM car is designed to crush in a controlled manner, absorbing energy from a crash. In this 30-mile-per-hour barrier test, you can see how seatbelts work with the design of the car to help protect people. General Motors, the future of transportation is here.
The house felt so empty. Our baby married. I was feeling kind of blue when my old friend Ruth called. In no time, she had me laughing way back to my own wedding.
Remember when the bride was you? Remember when your love was new? A borrowed smile from yesterday. The day the bouquet ran away. Reach out and touch someone.
Tonight's program will continue with a behind-the-scenes look at Walt Disney's greatest dream.
I think one of the nicest things you can do at Christmas is help the children at Children's Hospital.
So all you parents out there, why not contribute to this year's Children's Hospital Fund?
We always try to help it a little bit as much as we can.
Help the kids at Children's Hospital. Don't forget to send your pledge to KDK-TV Children's Hospital Fund, Box 222, Pittsburgh 15230. Thanks for giving with a little love.
Thanks to Children's Hospital, this child is alive and well. And I have tremendous confidence in it.
Morning, Pam. Maxwell House Master Blend coffee?
It's the ground coffee that can save us money.
Saves money, fine, but how does it taste?
Repriced 800 service for small businesses. We've opened new markets all over. They see our toll-free number, they call, and we've got a new customer.
Sound familiar?
As part of our telemarketing program, 800 service brings down the cost of selling.
Taught him everything he knows. I care.
Call 1-800-462-0404 now.
Sports Week, tonight at 11:45.
Drive links from Lincoln Mercury. By Natural Light, the beer with the taste for food. By Alcoa, producers of energy-saving aluminum. And by the Bell System Yellow Pages, the first step. Let your fingers do the walking through the Bell System Yellow Pages.
Welcome back to our NFL 81 studios in New York. Since we're aware some of you may have had to break away for local news, I'm Bryant Gumbel. Let's get you caught up on all the scores of Sunday 16. The Bears beat the Denver Broncos at Soldier Field today, 35-24. Broncos had to win to guarantee themselves a playoff berth. Their fate will be decided by the Chargers tomorrow night. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are champions of the NFC's Central Division. They beat the Detroit Lions 20-17. Kansas City closed out Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington by beating the Vikings 10-6. The Green Bay Packers lost out on their playoff opportunities. The Jets and Giants advance by virtue of the Jets' victory over the Packers at Shea, 28-3. The Eagles beat up on the St. Louis Cardinals. The final was 38-0. The Colts beat the Patriots for the second time this year and earned their second victory of the season. The final 23-21 from Baltimore. San Francisco 49ers will enjoy the home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. They beat the New Orleans Saints today. The final was 21-17. All those games are finals. These are still in progress. The Bengals are out in front of the Falcons as they near the half. It's 24-21. At the half, it's Washington 16 and the Rams 7. The ball game you're watching, you know the Oilers are leading the Steelers. It's 14-6 at the half. And also at the half, Seattle's out in front of Cleveland. It's 28-7. We've still got a busy day of football ahead, but after football's out of the way, there's a big lineup of action on NBC tonight, including at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, a Bob Hope Christmas special.
Hey, thanks, Brian. I just want to remind all the fans looking in that we have a marvelous lineup of guest stars joining us for our annual Christmas special tonight at 8 on NBC. Lonnie Anderson from WKRP in Cincinnati is doing an outer space sketch with me, and wait till you see her skin-tight, beautiful metallic blue suit. Just send a lot of people to outer space. I may run the tour.
Good morning, Captain Smoot. How was your watch last night? Did you have any trouble staying awake?
No, I spent the night listening to my favorite radio station, WKRP in Uranus. And, of course, we have the charming and talented Andy Williams, who'll be bringing along his own special brand of holiday cheer. Andy and I sing a duet together where I play Andy's son. And you thought Twilight Zone was canceled, huh? Daddy, then how come I'm your only child?
For the same reason no one ever bought two Edsels.
That's the Bob Hope Christmas Special tonight on NBC, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. We've got a second half of football to come from the Houston Astrodome, so let's go back to the ballpark.
We are back at the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. Both the Steelers and the Houston Oilers have returned to the playing field for the second half of today's game. The Oilers leading the Steelers 14-6. Mark Malone loosening up on the near sideline. And as we have said so often today, Gene, he is the only quarterback the Pittsburgh Steelers have who is healthy enough to play.
Well, he's getting the experience that he's going to need if he's going to replace Mr. Bradshaw in the future for the Steelers, and there's no way to get it except to get in the heat of the action, do your job, do it as best as you can. You're going to make some mistakes, but that's the way you benefit.
Let's take a look at that last Houston touchdown. It came in the second quarter, and it was this pass from Gifford Nielsen right to Dave Casper. One official called him down at the 1-foot line, and it certainly looks here as if he is.
Take a look there. It looks as though he landed. It looks as though his shoulder landed on about the 6-inch line, but I guess what they decided was since the football broke the plane of the end zone, then it's a touchdown.
David Trout is set to kick it away for the Steelers as we are all ready to begin the second half of action here from the Dome. Whoa. He really drills this one. It'll be Willie Tullis at the goal line. And look at these returners go for the Houston Oilers. If it isn't Carl Roach's killing you, it's Willie Tullis. Each one of them have a return for a touchdown, 95 and 96 yards respectively.
I think if you stacked them on top of one another, they still wouldn't be over 6 feet tall, but these guys can really fly, and they have no fear. Runs right up into the action and sees a little daylight on the outside and turns on the speed. Both of these guys have great acceleration, and that's the key, to be able to accelerate when they see that hole, to get through it right away.
Look at these halftime statistics. Total yards, 208 for the Oilers, 123 for the Steelers. And look at the time of possession. The Steelers way ahead, almost 5 minutes ahead of Houston. Gifford Nielsen retreats to put it in the air. A little flare to Adger Armstrong. And he's up near the 29-yard line. He may gain one, possibly two. Robin Cole is there to wrestle him down. Reset the Houston Oiler offense for you as we begin the second half. Quarterback is Gifford Nielsen. Running backs, Earl Campbell, Adger Armstrong. The receivers, Burrow, Holston. The tight end is Dave Casper, who already has 2 touchdowns today, both of Houston's. The offensive line, Towns, Fisher, Carter, Schumacher, and Leon Gray. Second down and 8 yards to go as we are just underway here in the second half. Nielsen, deep drop. And this could be ruled a fumble.
It could be.
And I believe it is. Has he got it? I think he's got it. Jack Lambert.
No, I think he's going to rule it got out of bounds. I don't think Lambert controlled the football. I think it's going to be out of bounds. Houston's ball, but out of bounds.
You are exactly right. Take a look at this. This was an actual backwards pass.
It was. Earl Campbell decided to let the ball go. He didn't realize that the ball was thrown behind, which means that it's a free ball. Lambert doesn't realize it either, I don't think. Well, he does. He tries to get there, and he tries to stay in bounds. Just doesn't make it. You can see that he tried to keep his feet in bounds as he reached down to grab the football, but he's just a little too late.
We should remind our viewers that a backward pass, Gene, is really almost like a pitch out or a fumble. It's a live football.
It's exactly like a pitch out. Earl Campbell should have covered that ball.
Now it is third down and 18. Plenty of time. Nielsen, Adger Armstrong. And he's wrapped up right there by Mel Blunt. Mel Blount in 12 years as a Steeler has missed only 2 games in his 12th year out of Southern. Suppose Mel Blount has any idea he is 33 years of age. He plays like a guy who's 24, 25.
Well, Jimmy Johnson out in San Francisco played 16 years, and I'll tell you, he was as good in those last couple of seasons as 99% of the backs in the game. If a guy is healthy and stays in shape, there's no reason why you can't continue to play.
It is now 4th and 12. I think the reason why Mel Blount has stayed around so long is he doesn't have all that hair, excess weight to carry around. It is Cliff Parsley set to kick it away now for Houston. Good snap. Larry Anderson, the lone man back for the Steelers. Good high kick. Anderson with a fair catch at the 40-yard line. And Holston was right there to nail him had he bobbled it. So 13 minutes, 3 seconds to play in the 3rd period. We'll be back in just a moment.
Out there on the field, I know how to make decisions. But this decision gave me the willies. What do I know about diamonds? At least I knew enough to go to Zales for Carol's ring. As the world's largest jeweler, Zales can control their diamonds every step of the way. That means they're sure of the quality. Sure enough, to back it with Zales' 90-day refund policy. So, this is one time I just can't lose.
Zales, the diamond store, is all you need to know.
Introducing the car Cadillac owners preferred overall to a Cadillac. Introducing the 1982 Lincoln Town Car. When Cadillac owners compared DeVille to the Lincoln Town Car based on comfort, roominess, luxury, and ride, 86 out of 100 preferred the Lincoln Town Car overall. Lincoln Town Car, the car Cadillac owners preferred.
Head & Shoulders doesn't have it. Selsun Blue doesn't have it. Only Denerex has it. An extra relief medicine to stop dandruff itch. You can feel it tingle.
All 3 have one medicine for dandruff itch, but only Denerex adds a second medicine, an exclusive anti-itch medicine many dermatologists recommend.
You can feel it tingle. That's extra relief medicine, and only Denerex has it.
In regular or New Mountain Fresh Herbal, Denerex stops dandruff itch with an extra relief medicine.
As you can see on your screen, number 32, Franco Harris, only needs 19 yards to reach 1,000 for the 8th time in his career. He'll be the only man in the NFL that's done that.
That's amazing when you look at all the great running backs who have played in the National Football League. And there's the man we're talking about. Ken Kennard, the little guard, is there to wrestle Franco down. A gain of about 3 yards on the play. There's the man we're talking about. Watch number 32. He's had 4 100-yard games against the Houston Oilers. Plays well against these guys.
There are not many people who run the football well against this team, particularly over the last couple of years. As great as O.J. was, he never played well against these Oilers. Those big linebackers made it awfully tough for a running back to make a living, particularly when they came down here in Houston.
Mark Malone retreats to put it up. Oh, look at that.
Wide open.
John Stallworth is finally taken out of bounds.
No smoke coming out of the pass?
I sure did.
You know, someone...
Way down to the Houston 28-yard line.
I think Greg Stibrick was convinced that Stallworth was going to run a deep post pattern, took his eye off the football because you can see he's not even close. He had put his head down and was running for the goal line. Stallworth saw that the ball was thrown short, slowed up, came back, caught the football. Stibrick wasn't even close to him.
A pickup of 30 yards for the Steelers. It is 1st and 10, the ball at the 28. Play action. Malone's going for it all. Stallworth and overthrows him. Well, John had Greg Stibrick beaten. Malone goes down in a heap under very, very heavy pressure from Robert Brazile and Jesse Baker. 12 minutes, 12 seconds to play. We'll reset the Pittsburgh Steeler offense for you. Mark Malone is the quarterback. Sidney Thornton, Franco Harris. The running back, the receiver, Stallworth. He's already caught 3 passes for 60 yards. Lynn Swan, Benny Cunningham is the tight end. The offensive line, John Cobb. Wow, in his 13th year, Craig Wolfley, Mike Webster, Steve Corson, and Ray Penny. In fact, Gene, there are 3 Steelers in their 13th year. Greenwood, Joe Green, and John Cobb. first three guys that Chuck Noll drafted when he came to the Steelers. Second down and 10. The ball at the 28. Steelers trying to get back in this one. Malone puts it up. Oh, threads the needle beautifully to the man we just spoke about, John Stallworth. Vernon Perry hammers him immediately.
As you said, he threaded the needle. Getting that ball out to John Stallworth is going to lead the team in receiving for the second time in the last 3 years. As I mentioned before, Stallworth had surgery on his foot in the offseason. Has affected his play a little bit, but continues to be one of the top wide receivers in all of football.
Reset the defense for you. Doris, Kennard, and Bethea make up the defensive front three. Linebackers, Washington, Bingham, they're all there, the defensive backs. First and 10, the ball at the 17, a little crossbuck. Touchdown, it'll be a touchdown for Sidney Thornton. And the Steelers are right back in the thick of this one. It is Sidney Thornton's 4th touchdown of the year.
The first half, the Oilers were very successful with their strong safety blitz. You'll see there on the left side of your screen, number 32, Vernon Perry comes in on the blitz. Thornton simply breaks a couple of tackles, and once he does that, there's no one back there, walks right into the end zone.
A 17-yard touchdown romp for Sidney Thornton. It is now a 14-12 Oiler lead as David Trout tries to bring the Steelers to within 1. And is perfect. So 11:24 to play in the third period. It is now Houston 14, the Pittsburgh Steelers 13.
Betty Turner? First day, huh? Through this door, turn left, past the water cooler, turn right. You're looking for Miss Hunter.
Betty, Olive Hunter. This is Miriam. Hi. And Doug. And this is you. That's really something, isn't it, Betty? Betty?
The IBM Display Writer. It's easy for people to adjust to because it adjusts to people. It practically teaches you itself. It gives you step-by-step instructions, a dictionary of about 50,000 words that helps you check your spelling. There's even a way to check your math. It almost makes errors obsolete. You can type, edit, correct, and zip out page after page. Some people worry about a machine making them feel uneasy. The IBM Display Writer makes them feel they can handle just about anything.
How'd it go? Piece of cake.
IBM, helping put information to work for people.
There's one product no medicine cabinet should be without. Alka-Seltzer.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Ho!
Alka-Seltzer.
Ho, ho, ho! Ho, 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 ho!
For acid indigestion with headache, nothing's more soothing or effective.
Ho, ho, ho!
No wonder it's America's home remedy.
David Trout is set to boot it away for the Steelers. And he gets his foot into this one. It'll be Roaches 2 yards deep, and he's going to bring it out. Is that guy exciting or what, Gene?
He is
electrifying.
Maybe the fact that he's not a very big target helps. Comes back with 28 yards on this one, and you'll see he catches his football, and he follows his blockers very well. They're going to head up to the middle, then veer off to the left. And when a team has a guy back there that they know is capable of going all the way, then they block better. It's like an offensive line that has a good running back. They're going to block better. Look at that.
Winston.
That was a takedown. That was not a block. That was a takedown. He grabbed him.
First and 10 Oilers with a 1-point lead. Adger Armstrong moves it up about a yard, possibly 2. Jack Ham is there to bring him down. There you take a look at the Pittsburgh Steelers scoring drive, 5 plays, covering 60 yards. Only took him a minute and a half. Sidney Thornton, a 17-yard run, kept it. Interesting thing about Sidney Thornton is when Rocky Blyer retired, he was the heir apparent to Rocky's position. But 4 fumbles the first time he carried the ball in the very first game, and Noll pulled him. Nielsen chased out of the pocket. He may turn it upfield. Oh, good block. Great block by Mike Holston. And Donnie Shell is livid, and they're going to call it, I believe. They're going to bring it back. They're going to call a clip against Mike Holston. Keep your eyes on number 84 as Gifford Nielsen comes up around the right side.
There it is. You'll see it right on the right side of your screen.
There's a clip.
That's how you got a knee injury, or you can get a knee injury. Actually, that was pretty close. He hit him on the shoulder. Fortunately, hit him high. He didn't get down around the knees, but that's how you can get a knee injury, when a guy kicks from the side.
Holding. Holding. Number 62. Offense.
Well, we're wrong.
Down.
It is a holding call against the left guard. That block was a clean block. You said that it was very questionable.
That was against John Schumacher, the left guard, left offensive guard.
There's one of the Derek Dolls, as they call him, here in Houston. Second down at 18 from the 17-yard line. Nielsen, all the time in the world. He's got Earl Campbell. And look at that Steeler defense collapse on Campbell.
I was thinking the same thing, because they simply swarmed to the football. They had dropped back in their zone defense. When that ball was thrown, boy, they went to it like bees going to honey. You'll see Nielsen drops back, gets the ball out to Campbell underneath the coverage, underneath the linebackers, but watch them all converge. Boy, they're coming from every place. There's no place to go.
About half of the defensive team of the Pittsburgh Steelers collapsed on him. There you see the kind of day Campbell's had, receiving 3 catches for only 12 yards. Dave Casper had 3 catches on the first drive for 84 yards, and that's going to be against Mr. Ed Fisher. Pulled up a little bit quick.
A little too anxious, a little illegal procedure. Phil, something is very important, particularly when you come out after the half, the first series or so. Let's listen to the call.
Ball start, number 60, offense, 3rd down.
The first series or so that you have on offense is very important, because it establishes the way you're going to play it. It sort of affects your momentum, your confidence. The Oilers have come out and been a little sloppy here. Pittsburgh came out being really sharp. Sometimes it's hard to regain that. Very important that you get off to a good start at the beginning of the second half.
3rd and 15. Nielsen found the seam, and he found Mike Holston. Oh, what a catch. A 20-yard pickup. J.T. Thomas hammered him, but give an awful lot of credit to Gifford Nielsen.
I mentioned it in the first half. The coaches admire this receiver, number 84, Mike Holston, their first pick in the 3rd round. But I'll tell you, let's watch Lambert. He goes back and he tries to get in on the action, but a receiver can't take much of this action. I played there a long time, and you have to go back to your quarterback and say, please, not too many of those in one ball game.
Nielsen pressure.
Interception. Could be a touchdown.
Robin Cole. He is out of bounds at the Houston Oilers' 16-yard line.
This is the second time that Nielsen has done this. He did it in the first half for an interception. He threw the ball when he shouldn't have. Threw it into traffic. This time comes up with an interception. Another interception. Same thing happened in the first half.
Robin Cole intercepted it. Gene, give an awful lot of credit, though, to John Banaszak. He is the one who put that low hit on Gifford Nielsen and caused him to release the ball a little higher than he ordinarily wanted to.
It was good pressure, but he shouldn't have thrown the football. It was as simple as that. He was falling down. He should not have thrown that football.
A 26-yard return for Robin Cole. And the Steelers in great position to take a lead. Pollard, good open field tackle.
Great
Robert
tackle.
Brazil, holy Toledo. 7th-year man out of Jackson State was right where he had to be.
This is why he's been an all-pro performer. He sits there, he plays his position. Ball carrier tries to bounce outside, and he uses that speed and strength and delivers a good blow. He is an impressive-looking athlete, too, boy. Oh, if I were running back, I'd hate to have to try to block him. He is so big.
Frank Pollard is trotting off the field, limping a little bit. Sidney Thornton has gone back in, and now you'll hear the Oilers fans come alive. And their defensive unit to hold them. 2nd and 9 from the 15. Several Oilers were coming, and I have to believe somebody jumped on the Pittsburgh Steelers front line, the left side of that front line. I'm looking at Wolfley, Penny. Could be John Kolb. We'll listen to Bob McElwee and see who the guilty party was.
False start, number 55, offense, 2nd down.
Number 55, John Kolb.
Kolb in his 13th year out of Oklahoma State, and this may be his last hurrah here in Houston. He's been talking a little bit about retiring.
Pittsburgh going with 3 wide receivers.
2nd and 14, Stallworth in motion. Now they go to Stallworth, and he'll be short of the 1st down. Look at all the Houston Oilers converging on him. Vernon Perry is there. Brazil is there. Look at Stallworth smiling as he gets up. What a class athlete.
Again, Pittsburgh putting Stallworth and Swan on the same side of the field. It makes it extremely difficult for the opposition to double cover both players on the same side of the field. What happened was that Vernon Perry was trying to play them both and was in no man's land. Malone found Stallworth for the completion.
3rd down and 2. A big play now for the Steelers. 7 minutes, 25 seconds to play in the 3rd period. 3rd and 2 from the 8. Quarterback sneak. Mark Malone. He will not get it. He will not get it. I think Malone was counting on some of those linebackers going with both Thornton and Franco Harris. But Stensrud and Vernon Perry were not fooled. He's going to be short by a yard, Gene. Now the big question is, do you go for it or kick the field goal, which would only give you a 2-point lead? I've got to believe with this much time to go, they're going to go for it.
Well, I think they've made their decision as Frank Pollard, number 44, goes back into the ball game.
If you're Chuck Noll, what do you call here? 4th and a foot.
Well, with the play that I like in this situation, if you have a quarterback that can run, is a rollout. Because you have an option. The quarterback can run for the 1st down, and he can throw it. He gets outside. If he can break outside, puts an awful lot of pressure on those defensive backs. They have to decide whether they're going to come up to try to stop him or stay back to cover the pass.
Would you try and use play action to freeze the linebacker to give you that outside lane, or would you just grab it and sprint for the sidelines?
I'd just go for the sidelines if you have a quarterback that can run the ball.
Well, Malone can run it. I'm not even going to try to talk over this crowd. Frank Pollard has the 1st down. And that's what you call straight ahead bull running.
That's as straight ahead as you can get. I mean, straight ahead. He just gets the football and just puts his head down, and he says, nobody's going to stop me. And he makes it.
Now, Frank Pollard from Meridian, Texas, is playing a good game here today for the hometown folks. It is 1st and goal, Pittsburgh, from just inside the 5-yard line. The Oilers holding on to a very slim 1-point lead. Pollard again.
Same play.
Same play, this time to the 3-yard line.
They're running right over number 77. The Steelers' offensive right guard, Steve Curson.
Andy Doris was there. Greg Bingham was there to bring him down. You take a look at Eddie Biles. And he's come under some heat about, does he get along with Earl Campbell and Robert Brazil, or better yet, do they get along with the head coach?
I think there's more of that made in the media, in the papers and on TV than actual fact on the ball team.
2nd down and goal from the 2. Malone wants to put it up. He may run it. Touchdown, Pittsburgh. And now we've got one. Robert Brazil, Toons Ilken. threw the first punch, and he and Ted Washington are going at it. This is normally the kind of action you see reserved for the heat of the playoff race.
They're going at it again.
And I got to believe we might see some ejections here. Again, it is Brazil.
Except that time, I think Benny Cunningham.
Benny Cunningham is there.
Well, there's certainly no love lost between these two teams. In a game that some people say doesn't mean anything, you wouldn't think that from the way they approach this football game. I mentioned before, a rollout. Here the quarterback has the option. They come with this play. He's looking for the pass. Now he's got blockers out front, puts an awful lot of pressure on the defense.
Personal foul offense.
The problem is that the Oilers feel that he hit down before he went into the end zone. But they gave Dave Casper the touchdown in the same situation.
All right, what we've got here is offsetting penalties, personal fouls against each ball club. The touchdown stands. David Trout is on to try for the point after. As you see, Ed Files, you don't think he's unhappy. The Steelers have taken a 19-14 lead. They have not led since their first drive of the game when they took a 3-0 lead on a 40-yarder by Trout. This time Trout has a chance to give the Steelers a 20-14 lead, and he does it. So, while the tempers calm, we'll take a timeout. 5:27 to play in the third period. The Steelers have a lead.
Achtung, there it is. Pontiac's new 6000.
Wow, I've never seen a Pontiac like that before.
It's Pontiac's answer to the world's great road cars.
I believe it. What's it got?
Front-wheel drive. Four-cylinder engine with electronic fuel injection. Power rack and pinion steering. Optional V6 or diesel. Everything.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Now the excitement really begins.
Ah, good choice. The beer with the taste for food. Natural Light from Anheuser-Busch. Not too filling, but oh so satisfying. When you're ready, really ready to eat.
What's more natural than Natural Light?
Has the cold weather got you down? Escape to Hawaii. Top pros hang 10 through pounding surf in Men's World Cup surfing. Then America's best men gymnasts take on a dynamic Chinese team in U.S.-China gymnastics. Plus wild jet ski racing. Next Saturday on NBC Sports World.
Now there you see Houston Oilers head coach Eddie Piles really getting it on with side judge Bob Rice. He thinks the Pittsburgh Steelers should have been penalized for unsportsmanlike conduct. And from what we saw up here, it looked like Tunch Ilkin was the guy who really got that thing rolling. However, it was offsetting penalties. The touchdown stood. And Carl Roaches will allow David Trout's kickoff to go into the end zone and out of bounds. You know, as you said, Gene, there is no love lost between these two teams. It is not what you would call a blood and guts rivalry, but you go back to 1979, the AFC Championship game.
Elvin Bethea, number 65. And number 55, John Cole. You can see Bethea has a hold of his face mask, delivers a little right to the face mask, doesn't do very much at all. When football players start fighting, all they can do is hurt themselves, hurt their own hands, because where do you hit a guy? You reach around and hit him in the lower part of the back?
How many of these guys would go into fighting one another if they didn't have shoulder pads and hip pads in the helmets? I bet you wouldn't find anybody fighting out there other than Conrad Dobler. It is 1st and 10 for the Oilers. To Earl Campbell. And he is dragged down by John Goodman. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
WPXI, the news station.
Phil Stone and Gene Washington at the Astrodome, where just a few moments ago the Pittsburgh Steelers scored to take a 20-14 lead over the Houston Oilers. And that is where we stand right now. 4 minutes, 45 seconds to play in the third period. Here comes Kenny Burrow to the near side. Mike Holston is split wide right. Earl Campbell shifts into the eye. Gifford Nielsen with time. Unloads for Casper. Casper again got behind Jack Lambert. Now, Gene, when you talk about the rivalry here, it usually does not precipitate a fight. Before we saw one here a minute ago.
They're going at it down there. There's some awfully big men. That's Craig Wopley, that number 73, who was in on the action. Then there's number 59, Teddy Washington, who's no little guy himself. He's been around a long time, 12, 13 years, but he's an awfully strong man.
You know, it's a great rivalry, but you heard the Pittsburgh Steelers earlier in the season say, hey, if we can't win the AFC Central, we'd like to see the Houston Oilers win it. There's a tremendous amount of respect between these two ball clubs. Third down and 13. Nielsen may be dragged down, and there he goes. Tom Beasley.
Tom Beasley, substituting with Joe Green at that tackle spot, gets the sack. But Gifford Nielsen was smart this time. It only took him 2 interceptions to realize that you shouldn't throw the ball just because you're going to be sacked. The Steelers do a good job in their coverage there in zone coverage. He's got no place to throw the ball. Starts to run upfield, and he wisely holds on to it, takes his loss, and doesn't turn it over.
Cliff Parsley will stand in his own end zone to get this punt away. Larry Anderson, the Steelers did have excellent field position. He's standing about at the midfield stripe. Good punt. That'll back him up about 10 yards. A flag goes down.
Another fight.
And it's going to be against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Adger Armstrong, Greg Bingham, 50-yard punt, a 20-yard return. Holding against the Steelers. See if we can find it for you.
Illegal use of the hands. It could be that someone blocked above the waist. Let's see if we can see it. Well, all we see is an excellent job of returning the punt.
By Larry Anderson.
Bad.
Illegal block above the waist. Number 53 on the return. First down.
There's Dennis Winston. Oh, dirt got caught. Watch the upper right-hand corner of your screen right there. Center right.
Hits him from behind and goes down and falls on top of him. Make sure he doesn't get up.
Here Winston fell right on top of Avon Riley. First and 10, Steelers. That is Franco Harris. He picks up about 3 yards on the play. Franco still has not reached 49 yards. He is still shy of the 1,000-yard plateau.
Vernon Perry was shooting in there from his strong safety spot. He's all over the field. And I think it may have been Perry, there he is, who almost comes up with a face mask penalty.
Franco still 14 yards shy of reaching 1,000 yards. He has not found the running very easy. 3 minutes, 11 seconds to play in the third period. It is 2nd and 7. And there's Franco. And he goes for one more. Jesse Baker, Andy Doris are right there. The Houston Oilers defensive team doing an excellent job against these Pittsburgh Steelers running backs, Gene. Coming into this game, they were 24th in the league against the rush. They're doing an outstanding job.
They seem to get fired up, though, when they play against an outstanding runner. And as I mentioned before, they've always had good games against OJ.
Third down and 6, the ball at the 45. 5 defensive backs now for the Oilers. Mark Malone wants to put it up.
He's going for it.
He's got a man. And the guy he overthrows is Win Swan down at the 15-yard line. Mike Reinfeldt was right there.
It appeared as though Swan was open, but Reinfeldt was laying in the weeds. That ball had been thrown in bounds. I think he would have come up with an interception.
Now Mark Malone doing an excellent job of avoiding that interception, although it is a punting situation now for the Steelers. Steelers want to win this game badly. They have 9 winning seasons in a row, trying today to make it 10 straight. Only 3 other teams since the Second World War have ever done that. Greg Colquitt is on to boot it away. Carl Roaches, the lone man back. Good rush on. It's a low punt. Roaches may have a return. Oh, what a tackle. What a job by Ron Johnson. Carl Roaches didn't even have a chance to get up ahead of steam. 2:17 to play in the third period. We'll be back in a moment.
There's only one car rental company in the world, big enough and good enough to be #1 for everyone. Hertz.
Who else guarantees your final rental charges in advance, like this?
And lets you go right from your plane to your car without stopping at the rental counter.
And they never charge for mileage, no matter where you rent the car or where you return it.
Whatever you need in a car rental company, there's still only one company you'll ever need.
Hertz is #1 for everyone.
Welcome to warm afternoons and Gavel.
Sunny rhyme days with your friends and mine.
Special moments.
The feeling shows. A gallows toast with the rhyme that flows. Oh, the joy of sharing Gallo wine.
Will we ever have a house like this?
Share the joy of Gallo wine.
It's the biggest one-day bowl bonanza ever, unmatched in terms of color, emotion, and excitement. The Fiesta Bowl, followed by the Rose Bowl, and finally the primetime spectacular of the Orange Bowl. A collegiate gridiron feast without ever changing your dial. New Year's Day.
One of the Derek Dolls here in Houston. And don't forget, a week from today, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, the AFC Wild Card Playoff, the Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets. And that is going to be a real big win. Little play action. Gipper Nielsen rolls right. And he has got Dave Casper. And Casper still on his feet across the 30-yard line. A first down for the Houston Oilers. Let's go to New York, Studio 6A, and Byron Day. Byron.
Okay, Phil, thank you very much. In the Pacific Northwest, the Browns are still reeling from 28 straight unanswered points that Seattle put up on the board, but Paul McDonald managed to hook up with Greg Logan on this 16-yard touchdown pass. It's still 42-14, Hawks over the Browns.
Yeah, that's hard to believe. The Seahawks commanding that kind of a lead. Of course, they did it against the Chargers. Nothing surprising this year.
They can score a lot of points up there.
First and 10, Nielsen. And he's going down the right sideline. The man he was looking for was Azure Armstrong. Could not get to him. Wayne Woodruff running step for step. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League. It is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Houston Oilers and the National Football League is prohibited. I want to thank our spotters up in the booth today, Vernon Eschenfelder, Frank Purdy, our statsman Ken Johnson, stage manager Jeff Moose. Second and 10. Play action again. Nielsen wants to put it up, and he'll not get it there. Robin Cole on top of him. And John Banaszak, pardon me, that was John Banaszak. I saw the 6 on the back of his jersey. I thought it was 56.
You'll see that he gets in there in a hurry. He's being held and everything, but he still manages to get in there and get the tackle, get that sack. Outstanding job.
So it is now 3rd and 17 from the 25. Oilers trailing by 6. It is 20-14. Time is 1:06 to play and running in the third period. Armstrong. And he's out to the 30-yard line. He took Jack Lambert on one-on-one and just ran right into him.
He almost took on the official, too, just before he caught the football.
Jack Lambert, the 1981 MVP of the Pittsburgh Steelers team. He's led the team in tackles, tied for the interception lead with 6. Second in fumble recoveries, year in and year out. One of the former Kent State Golden Flashes. The Oilers set to kick it away on 4th and 11. Cliff Parsley with a boomer. Larry Anderson waiting a long time. Uh-oh. Now you talk about roaches and tullus on the Houston Oilers ball club. What about this Larry Anderson guy? Finally brought down by Carter Hartwig. Avon Riley was also there. So, with 1 second to play in the third period, the Steelers have the lead, 20-14.
There's one product no medicine cabinet should be without. Alka-Seltzer.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Ho!
Alka-Seltzer.
Ho, ho, ho! Ho, 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 ho!
For acid indigestion with headache, nothing's more soothing or effective.
Ho, ho, ho!
No wonder it's America's home remedy.
Let's get the numbers out of the way. This new 1982 Pontiac offers an EPA estimated MPG of 23 and a highway estimate of 34. Impressed? You should be. Because now the excitement begins. This new Pontiac is the Bonneville Model G, a new lean breed of Bonneville with available diesel that puts smooth ride and quiet comfort in a new class. With room for 6 and all those fine car features that have always made Bonneville our most luxurious Pontiac.
Next Saturday, Wildcat fans have plenty to cheer about when Dean Smith's #1 ranked Tar Heels of North Carolina battle it out with the second-ranked Wildcats of Kentucky, right here on the home of great college basketball, NBC Sports.
Bill Stone and Gene Washington from the Astrodome with just 1 tick on the clock to play here. As you see some of the Derek Dulls. Here come the Steelers. First and 10 from the 35. That was a 53-yard punt before we broke away for a commercial. A 20-yard return by Anderson. Little crossbuck action. It is Franco Harris moving it out for about 3 yards. And that is the end of the third period of play. So, with 15 minutes left to go in this one, the score, Houston 20. Say the Steelers 20, Houston 14. We'll be back in a moment.
Tuesday on Father Murphy.
What's in there?
An accident in the mine shaft
Start digging.
becomes Murphy's greatest challenge. Then,
I've always had a preference for the ladies.
a winning hand with an unknown jackpot wins Brett Maverick a young girl.
Perhaps you don't consider buying a woman to be out-and-out slavery.
James Garner is Brett Maverick after Father Murphy, Tuesday.
Subaru owners have a lot in common besides all the different models they own, with front-wheel drive or on-demand four-wheel drive. They also share a habit of trading in one Subaru for another Subaru. No leading import is higher than Subaru in owner loyalty. People stick with a car they don't get stuck with.
Test drive the exciting new Subaru wagon at the area dealer nearest you.
United gives you a lot more to California than just a great price, like the most non-stops to Los Angeles.
That's what friendly skies are all about.
And no one offers more non-stops to San Francisco than United.
That's what friendly skies are all about.
The most non-stops to LA and non-stops to San Francisco. United to California. It's a lot more than a great price.
By the friendly skies.
Sports Week, tonight at 11:45.
Well, we are set to begin the fourth and final period of play. In fact, the final period of football for both of these teams anyway. Franco, as you see, needs just 10 yards to become the only player in NFL history to record 8,000-yard seasons in a career. Second down and 7. Blitz. Malone, here they come. Oh, as he wrapped up Elvin Bethea.
The Oilers were successful in the first half with the blitz. They're coming back. Well, who's that on the screen there? Well, now let's get back to the action. Malone is coming back. The Oilers, you can see they're bringing all their linebackers, trying to put the pressure on him, and Elvin Bethea is going to do the job.
You wonder why Malone didn't tuck that thing away and go. He had some room there. 3rd and 10 for Pittsburgh. Calvin Sweeney goes wide to the right. To the bottom of your screen comes Jim Smith and Lynn Swan. In motion, Smith. Here they come again, and down he goes again. Greg Bingham this time. Well, he's the leading tackler on this Oiler football team.
They're putting the pressure on the young quarterback, and that's not a bad thing to do. Houston's offense hasn't come out and played particularly well here in the second half. Their defense, though, is trying to regain that momentum, and this is one way to do it. Bring people in there, put the pressure on a young quarterback, make him get rid of the football early or take the loss.
The Oilers with 10 men on the line. Now they drop a couple. Colquitt to kick it away, and Carl Roaches. Oh, did he get his foot into this one? Roaches at the 20. He avoids one guy. Oh! And it is Colquitt who comes up to blast him out of bounds.
I'm sorry, I think Roaches blasted Colquitt. You'll see on this replay. Watch this nifty move right here as he gets away from Ron Johnson. He's going to get to the outside. Now, who's the guy that's going to try to stop him? The kicker. Now, watch this. Roach is only about 5'3". Watch this.
Holiday greetings from Budweiser. The people who bring you Budweiser wish you and yours a happy and safe holiday season.
Radio Shack makes Christmas dreams come true.
Dad, I really like this electronic project kit.
Our exclusive Science Fair 150-in-1 electronic project kit is only $29.95. A terrific teaching device to learn to build safe, solderless battery and solar radios, transmitters, computer circuits, electronic sound effects, even LED readouts. Just one of many super educational values.
How'd you know I wanted this electronic project kit?
Only at Radio Shack, your Christmas electronics store.
Colquitt, a 54-yard punt, and this is the guy that got 25 of them back, little Carl Roaches.
But 9 weeks ago, against Cincinnati, right here at the Astrodome, he took a kickoff and went 96 yards for a touchdown. And this is one very good reason why he's in the Pro Bowl this year. Look at him stepping out.
What a little guy he is with an awful lot of heart. Play action, Gifford Nielsen. Oh, to Mike Holston. And Holston is dragged down by Donnie Shell.
Mentioned before that Holston has no fear of going over the middle in between the linebackers. Nielsen gets the football down there in great shape. There's a void area there, delivers the ball on time. Holston comes up with a catch for 20 yards.
Now you take a look at Ron Johnson, who's hurting a little bit. And Mike Holston, third-round draft pick out of Morgan State. He has been a tremendous asset to this Oiler team. Gifford Nielsen trying to get it away, and he can't do it. The first man to reach him was Tom Beasley. Take a look at Johnson. His left leg looks like his left knee. Not sure whether he'll be back or not. He's usually the fifth man in the Pittsburgh nickel. Let's take a look at all the scores. Chicago has beaten the Denver Broncos. It was Tampa Bay over Detroit. It was the Lions' first loss at the Silverdome. Kansas City over the Minnesota Vikings 10-6. The Jets defeated Green Bay. It was Philadelphia tuning up for the playoffs, waxing the Cardinals. Gifford Nielsen on 2nd and 16. He goes down again.
Dennis Winston, number 53. He's a little happy about that sack. Coming from his outside linebacking spot. The Steelers are blitzing. You can see they're bringing everyone. There's 53 coming from the outside. Number 39, Armstrong, tries to put the block on him, but really just sort of opens the gate because Winston just keeps going right to the quarterback.
Oh, now it is 3rd and 26. Here's one for you. A final. Baltimore has beaten New England 23-21. So the Colts end the season just the way they began it, with a victory over the Patriots. Adger Armstrong going through the left side. And he runs for about 13 yards. J.T. Thomas was there along with Jack Ham. Another final. San Francisco has beaten the New Orleans Saints 21-17. That game was tied at 14-all for a long time. Cincinnati leading the Falcons 27-21 third quarter. Washington over the Rams 30-7 in the third period. You have to wonder about the job security of Ray Malavasi. And Seattle over the Cleveland Browns 42-14. The Seahawks, listen to this, 6 fumble recoveries. 9 turnovers for the Browns today. We've got a good one here, though, at the Astrodome. 4th down and 16. Parsley will kick it away. And it's a high, short one. It is Anderson calling for a fair catch at the 8-yard line. And that is where the Pittsburgh Steelers will put it in play. With 11 minutes, 12 seconds to play, it is Pittsburgh leading the Houston Oilers 20-14. We'll be back in just a moment.
It started with one automobile. A fuel-efficient automobile that offered more than just fuel efficiency. It started with Lynx. Now for 1982, Lincoln Mercury presents a totally new Lynx. The 5-door Lynx. Lynx, now more than ever, the world belongs to Lincoln Mercury.
Merry Christmas from the people at Miller High Life.
Tuesday.
I've always had a preference for the lady.
A winning poker hand with an unknown jackpot wins Brett Maverick, a young girl.
Perhaps you don't consider buying a woman to be out-and-out slavery.
We talked earlier in the telecast about Crazy George, the professional cheerleader for the Houston Astros. Came under a lot of heat this past week. In fact, Chuck Noll, I don't think even wanted him around. He thought back to last year's game when Crazy George, he feels, almost cost him a ball game, or did cost him a ball game. He got the crowd here in the dome so fired up. Stabler, should say Bradshaw, could not hear the signal. Malone. The give is to Thornton. And he is dropped out there just outside the 20-yard line by Greg Stemrick. Well, Chuck Noll did not want Crazy George back into this ballpark. However, Crazy George did prevail. He's here today, although he's not making a lot of noise.
Let's take another look at this tackle by number 27, Greg Stemrick. He lowers the head and shoulders right on the knee. But he didn't stop him before. He had picked up a 14-yard gain.
Now you got to look at Stemrick on his way to definitely a Pro Bowler. Not there this year. Last year he was Pro Bowl 1980 game. Nice way to spend a January Sunday on Honolulu. Again, Sidney Thornton out of Northwest Louisiana to about the 28-yard line.
Hi, I'm Rocky Bleier. This is the final week of the regular NFL season. Tonight, 11:15, we'll let you know who will be in the playoffs, and we'll show you the highlights of the Steeler-Oilers game today and all the action around the NFL. We'll also tell you why North Catholic has such a good hockey team, all on Sports Week, tonight at 11:15.
Needs 10 yards to get over 1,000 again. The Oilers have contained him pretty well so far, and they just may be keen on him.
It is now 2nd and 4 from the 29. 9:48 to play. Here comes Franco, and he's going to be dropped. Avon Riley, the rookie out of UCLA, and we have a flag down. Franco needed 10 yards to top the 1,000-yard mark before taking that handoff, and now I think he'll need a few more than that.
It's going to be holding, I think. That's the early indication, holding against Pittsburgh.
The Steelers will now have it 2nd and about 15. You know, Eugene, you look at these two ball clubs and you say to yourself, how in the world can they be where they are today? What do you suppose the Steelers have to do during the offseason to reach the levels they reached in the mid to late 70s?
Well, I think let's listen to this call.
Illegal block above the waist, number 82, offense. Second down.
Well, we can see it there in the bottom of the frame, bottom of the picture. You can see he's just grabbed a hold of the back of the jersey, number 82, Stallworth. Has the defender. We can't see his number because it's all balled up in Stallworth's hands.
20-14, 9:43 to play. Look at this formation, a real spread formation for the Steelers. The give is to Pollard, and he's out to about the 23. It'll be 3rd and 10. Ken Kennard is there.
Number 45 is in there now, Russell Davis. Take a look at those standings. There you can see Miami 11-4-1, the Jets 10-5-1, Buffalo 10-6, all in the playoffs. 3 New York teams. In the Central, Cincinnati 11-4. What a year they've had. There's Pittsburgh at 8-7, Houston 6-9, Cleveland 5-10. Of course, they're going to lose today.
3rd and 10. It is Stallworth in motion. Malone. Oh, he said as he delivers the ball, he was looking for Stallworth, and he could not get there. So it'll be a punting situation now for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jesse Baker. As you see Malone come off the field.
Phil, you were about to say something about what does a team do like Pittsburgh in the offseason to get ready for next year. I think a real mistake that the media can sometimes make, and sometimes fans, is to examine a team too closely when they have an off year. Terry Bradshaw doesn't get hurt, this Pittsburgh team may be in the playoffs. I don't think they have to panic. They have some players who are nearing the end of their career, some great players that have meant a lot to the organization, but they're still a very good football team. Things tend to go in cycles, and they're going to be back, and they'll be back probably right on top.
Now Carl Roaches thinks better of pulling that one down. Larry Anderson was really bearing down on him, and it was a great punt for Craig Colquitt. And it is dead at the 14-yard line, a 62-yard punt, as you see Ron Johnson being loaded aboard a golf cart. He'll go off. So with 8 minutes, 40 seconds to play, there's a timeout on the field. We'll be back in a moment.
Motorcraft reveals the enemy of gas mileage, fuel-robbing friction in your engine. Motorcraft introduces the Gas Saver, Motorcraft's new super premium motor oil. It fights friction so well, it can actually save you gas as you drive. New Motorcraft super premium oil. It can save you gas. Motorcraft, for the future of your car, for sure.
What's more natural than spicy hot food and icy cold beer? What's more natural than Natural Light from Anheuser-Busch? It's the beer with a taste for food. So, when you want to put out the fire...
What's more natural than Natural Light?
This Monday, NBC presents one of television's proudest moments, a Pulitzer Prize-winning play starring Sally Field and William Hurt. All the Way Home, live exclusively on NBC.
If this score holds 20-14 Pittsburgh with just over 8 minutes to play, you have to think that the Houston Oilers will go to 6-10. What do they have to do, Gene, to come back to the form they had of a year ago?
Well, again, I think it's the same thing that I mentioned about Pittsburgh. I don't think you have to panic when you have the nucleus of a good football team, and the Oilers certainly do. Ken Stabler's going to be back next year. He can still play, but this year he should come back and he should be in shape and ready to play and not have the problems that they had at the beginning of the season. Both of these teams are good, solid football teams, and when the season starts, they're going to be ranked right up there at the top. Now, there have been some changes. Cincinnati and San Francisco, they've developed good football teams, but now people are going to be looking at them each week as opposed to looking at Pittsburgh and Houston the way they have been in the past. It's a little different when you're on top and you have to start a season. Cincinnati and San Francisco are going to have to do that this year. Everyone is going to want to beat those teams, and that makes a difference.
When you're on top, everybody's gunning for you.
Every week.
Second down and 10. Ball at the 15. The give is to Earl Campbell. And he runs it out for a first down. You know, the rap on the Oilers this year, and really in years past, is that it is too one-dimensional in offense. Earl Campbell, Earl Campbell. Certainly he rushes for a lot of yards. But when you look at the Houston Oilers as a team, they are 13th in rushing.
Well, this is an example of the way that Earl Campbell can carry the football. He's got that tremendous acceleration. In spite of the fact that he's so big and strong, he has great speed. But the important thing is that he gained over 1,300 yards, another great season. Great football player. He's going to be back here next year.
Gifford Nielsen is dropped. And the man doing the dropping, Joe Green, 13th year out of North Texas State. Then hobbled by a bad knee most of the year. There you're looking at the guy, the first man that Chuck Noll drafted 13 years ago.
He is some football player, but not only that, he is some individual.
Look at him. Let's take a look at the probable opponents next year. You take a look at Pittsburgh and Houston. They'll take on the AFC Central, home and home. The NFC East, Buffalo, the Jets, San Diego, or Denver. Seattle and New England. Nielsen chased out of the pocket. Look at all the time he has. Now he's unloading. Burrow. He's got it. And Dwayne Woodruff is claiming that Burrow pushed off. However, it falls on deaf ears. It'll be a first down for the Oilers. 25-yard gain for Burrow.
Nielsen tried to throw the ball as far as he could because Burrow had taken off upfield, but Kenny saw that the ball was going to be short, came back underneath, caught the ball in Lynn Swan fashion for a completion.
First and 10, Houston. 6 minutes, 47 seconds to play. The clock is running here in the fourth period. Campbell shifting into the eye. Armstrong. Oh, oh. Did you see Armstrong absolutely deck Joe Green? What a shot Joe took.
He delivered a blow. Joe gets up with a smile on his face, though. Joe's given his share of hard licks over the past few years.
Take a look at the hit he takes here. Watch number 75 come in.
Little screen pass out in the flat.
Ooh. A pick up at 6 yards. It'll be second and 4. The ball out now at the Steelers 49. 6 minutes even to play on this ball game. The give is to Armstrong. He'll run for 1. Third and 7. Those Nielsen stats today not bad at all. 21 of 32 for 310 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pair of interceptions. You know, I don't understand how number 75 ever got the label Mean Joe Green.
Oh, I can understand it very well. He's a very nice person off the field. Anyone who's married to actors has to be nice. But I tell you, when he plays football, he plays. Cedric Hartman went to school with him in college. I played with Cedric for a long time. He says Joe's one of the meanest guys on the football field I have ever seen. And for Cedric Hartman to say that, he must be mean.
It is third and 3. Pressure. Gifford unloads for Holston, and he slips, trying to come back with the ball. The Steelers had everybody coming. And now a big, big decision for Ed Biles. I gotta believe they're going to kick it away.
Well, I certainly would. There's an awful lot of time left on that clock. If you go for it, don't make it here. It's Katie bar the door.
Yeah, because even a field goal for the Steelers would put the Oilers out of the ball game, needing more than a touchdown. And as Cliff Parsley gets ready to kick it away, a lot of these fans are rising here at the Astrodome and heading for the exits. Another high kick. Mary Anderson waits for it to come down at the 10 and tosses it to the official at the 11, and that is where the Steelers will have the ball. 5 minutes, 2 seconds to play on this game. Still, the Steelers lead the Oilers 20-14.
Let's do something something romantic.
It's their anniversary.
I thought we were buying a frying pan.
A fancy restaurant.
Let's hem out some flowers.
A dark restaurant with candles.
And music. Where are we going to find that?
Hold it, hold it.
Matching wallet.
Hold it. The first step is the Yellow Pages.
The Bell System Yellow Pages, the first step to help you plan a celebration. Before you waste time and energy, take the first step. Let your fingers do the walking through the Bell System Yellow Pages.
Dad, we may have to borrow some money. Oh.
Until this year, if you've been searching for great mileage in a standard-size 6-cylinder pickup, you've been caught in a catch-22. Announcing the new Ford FS, the only Ford 6-cylinder pickup ever to break the catch-22. 22 estimated MPG. Used for comparison, your mileage may differ. This tough Ford now has adjustable twin I-beam suspension and has full-size cab comfort to seat 3. This is the truck America's been waiting for. See your Ford dealer today and catch 22 for yourself. America's truck. It's built Ford tough.
New Year's Day, the oldest and most prestigious of all bowl games, the Rose Bowl, as the Washington Huskies battle the Iowa Hawkeyes, a classic matchup between two of the biggest surprise teams of the 1981 college football season. The granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl, a New Year's tradition from NBC Sports.
Now you take a look at Ken Stabler as Gifford Nielsen puts the headset on. Look at the career statistics for Kenny Stabler. Interesting, Gene. His interceptions outnumber his touchdowns both in career and this year.
Yeah, but the important fact is that he has a lot of touchdowns.
Yes, he does.
Kenny Stabler has been a magnificent quarterback throughout his career, most of it which was spent out at Oakland.
Uh-oh, blown play. Mark Malone goes down. Now you see Franco Harris and Sidney Thornton. Franco talking to Malone. Franco Harris still needing 10 yards to get over 1,000 yards. 4 minutes, 42 seconds to play in this game. The clock is running. Lynn Swan comes out of the ball game. Jim Smith goes in. Clock continues to run. 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Stallworth comes to the near side as Mark Malone set to go down over center Mike Webster. Malone to Stallworth. And he grabs it on one knee, and just as he gets up, he is hammered there by Greg Stemrick and Vernon Perry.
That little hitch pass working the way it's supposed to. All they want to do is pick up about 6 yards, which is what they do. But Houston wants to get the football back. Now, they've been successful blitzing. And if they're going to do it, this may be the right situation, although Pittsburgh may be anticipating it. But still, I think I'd rather take my chances because you have a young quarterback in there, not a seasoned veteran, who can anticipate things as quickly as a veteran quarterback like Bradshaw can. You wouldn't want to blitz Bradshaw in this situation because he'd probably beat you for a touchdown. But a young quarterback, you might be able to confuse him enough to force him to err.
A give is to Sidney Thornton, and he did not get the first down. No way. And it is 4th down and 1 for Pittsburgh. And that brings Craig Colquitt on. The last time he put his foot to the ball, it was 62 yards the other way. 3 minutes, 25 seconds left in this game. The Oilers still with an awful lot of time. Trail by 6, 20-14. And we want to remind you, 1 week from today, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Shea Stadium is the site where the Jets will tangle with the Buffalo Bills. AFC wild card game. Boy, don't you know that's going to be a great ball game. As they take a measurement, you see it is about a couple of feet short. Now the Buffalo Bills, after a rocky middle portion of the season, everybody was wondering whatever happened to the Bermuda Triangle. They certainly found it down the stretch. Played exceptionally well. And of course, everybody knows about the Jets. Flecko, Gastineau. 4th and 1. Colquitt, another beauty. And Roaches running all the way back to the 31, and look out! Larry Anderson. Wow. Roaches must feel like he was hit by a freight train. Well, the Oilers have the football after a 51-yard punt. We'll see that.
The Black Forest,
West, where Porsches stretch out and run. What's a Mazda RX-7 doing here? Making a point about outstanding value in a sports car. Because while the RX-7 offers the performance, economy, and sophistication you expect in a true fine sports car, it offers it at a price you most certainly don't expect. The more you look at some of the finest sports cars in the world, the more you like the 1982 Mazda RX-7.
Welcome to warm afternoons in Gallo. Sunny rhyme days with your friends and mine. Special moments, the feeling shows. A Gallo toast with the rhyme that flows. Oh, the joy of sharing Gallo wine.
Will we ever have a house like this?
Share the joy of Gallo wine.
This is Byron Day in New York. In Seattle, Paul McDonald just connected with Calvin Hill on the 9-yard touchdown pass. Could be Hill's last touchdown as a professional, but it's not nearly enough. The Hawks still lead at 42-21 in the fourth. Bill?
Now the story here at the Astrodome in Houston is Franco Harris 10 yards shy of his 8th 1,000-yard season. He has 990 yards on the year. It's going to be interesting, Gene, to see if the Steelers can get the ball back and if Franco can get there.
If they get the ball back without Houston scoring, I think Franco will carry the ball every time until he gets his 10 yards.
First and 10. Gifford Nielsen to Earl Campbell. And he's out to the 35-yard line. Of course, Earl Campbell got his 1,000 yards
many games ago. I get the sense that Earl Campbell is playing with a little more intensity here in this second half. He's putting a little extra effort into when he catches a football and he runs into the traffic. Watch this time. When he's about to get hit, he's putting a little bit extra into it. Now, that's not the sign of a player who's willing to just sort of rest on his laurels, so to speak.
There's the man we're talking about. And he has the football again. He's out close to a first down. I believe they'll mark his forward progress probably down at about the 38.
Tremendous acceleration.
They're going to call him down at the 40, and that is a first down. Time continues to run. 2 minutes and 12 to 11. They're going to try and get a playoff before the 2-minute warning to get that free timeout. Now there it comes. Gifford Nielsen to Holston.
Again. Number 84, Mike Holston, coming back to the same play that worked so well before. I think this is the 4th time he has caught that quick post in between the linebackers, picks up 47 yards on a very exciting play. The number 3 draft choice, the first choice for the Oilers this year. They really love him. The coaches say he's a comer, and he sure looks like it this afternoon. What a great catch and run.
And now here comes another of those fantastic finishes. We'll be right back.
Alcoa presents Fantastic Finishes. 1967, 15 degrees below zero in Green Bay, Wisconsin. The Packers trail the Cowboys by 3. The field is a sheet of ice as Bart Starr keeps the ball and sneaks into the end zone for the score. Who made the block that sprung him? Right guard Jerry Kramer against massive Jethro Pugh. The Packers win 21-17 and claim the NFL championship.
Alcoa can't wait.
Since time began, nature has demonstrated the wisdom of recycling. In rain that falls to the earth, travels to the sea, and rises to the clouds again. Now, man must learn to recycle too. At Alcoa, we've already started by initiating programs that are saving billions of aluminum cans every year. Raw materials and energy too. Recycling, we're simply doing what nature has always done.
We can't wait for tomorrow. Alcoa can't wait.
Bill Stone and Gene Washington as we are winding down a minute 58 to play. Gifford Nielsen, listen to this. 23 of 36 for 363 yards. And Holston has 4 catches for 111.
Not a bad day for the number 3 draft choice.
And the fans are on their feet. The Oilers trail by 6. Nielsen going for it.
Touchdown! Dave Casper with his third touchdown of the day. Dave Casper, coming up with 2 touchdowns in the first half, makes a beautiful diving catch. Here is a big play man. He knows that his team needs to come up with a big play. He reaches out and just makes a super catch. Terrific catch in the end zone for the touchdown. His third of the day.
Dwayne Woodruff could not have covered him much better than he did. It was just the diving extension of Dave Casper that tied this game up with 1:51 to play. Fritsch has a chance to put Houston ahead. So Dave Casper's 3 touchdowns are the story. It is 21-20 Houston over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Wow.
Michelob brings you the 7-day weekend, downbeat style. Whether it's jazz, classical, country, or rock, music and Michelob is always the perfect arrangement. Because that smooth and mellow taste helps make any time feel a little like a weekend.
Put a little weekend in your week.
Bavaria, where the Volkswagen Jetta really knows its way. What's a Mazda GLC sedan doing here? Making a point about outstanding value. Because while the GLC offers the performance, versatility, and economy you expect in a refined front-wheel drive economy sedan, it offers it at a price you don't expect. The more you look at some of the finest economy sedans in the world, the more you like the 1982 Mazda GLC sedan.
We would like to welcome KVEO TV, Channel 23, covering the Rio Grande Valley from Brownsville to McAllen, Texas. You are seeing a great one here today.
There's number 87 sitting on the bench, Dave Casper. 3 touchdowns today, the most this season for anyone on the Oilers team.
And Tony Fritsch. That's in a single game. Lets it fly. And Rick Mosier brings it out to almost the 30-yard line. Harold Bailey is there to drop him. And we've got an Oiler down. It is Rich Tomaselli. Very slow getting up. He's holding his left arm or shoulder. He is hurting.
The Steelers can win it with the field goal. There's Crazy George. If you hear that noise going on, he's been a little quiet all day long. He's trying to get the fans stirred up now, though.
And what's interesting is he's down on the playing field. Now, don't you know that's got to unnerve Chuck Noll. His Steelers trail by 1 with 1:45 to play. Franco. And he scoots out near the 40-yard line. And another Oiler is slow getting up. I believe that is Mike Reinfeldt. Take a look at Chuck Noll. How many times has Chuck Noll been in this situation? Too many to count. Hurry up offense for the Oilers. For the Steelers, 2nd and 3. Mark Malone will run it, and he's got a lot of room. Stemrick chases him out of bounds. Carter Hartwig is there to chase him out. But not before Mark Malone picks up some very, very valuable yardage. A big first down for Pittsburgh.
Very smart play on the part of the Oiler defensive backs. They had a chance to hit the quarterback, but they wisely didn't do it because they didn't want to risk getting a personal foul tacked on to the gain he already picked up.
You know what's interesting about this quarterback, number 16, the second-year man out of Arizona State. Mark Malone, when this season is over, Gene, has to undergo knee surgery to remove cartilage. And he is running with reckless abandon. Franco, look.
Oh, fumble! Fumble!
The Oilers have the football thanks to a recovery by Andy Doris. 1:09 to play. They lead by 1.
For his enshrinement into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Mr. Bob Lilly.
It was the greatest day of my life, the ultimate honor. Today I'm a businessman, but I learned a lot about business while I was a defensive tackle for the Dallas Cowboys. During my career, I made a lot of business contacts. In 292 pro games and 5 championships, I took care of business. I knew my prospect personally, and I protected my assets. Playing in 10 Pro Bowls and 2 Super Bowls, I saw my investments pay off. I enjoyed my business as number 74. They call me Mr. Cowboy. And you'll enjoy meeting some of my business associates here in Canton, Ohio at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, where we'll always be open for business.
The Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. Don't miss it.
The preceding announcement was furnished as a public service by the National Football League.
Franco Harris is sitting on the end of the bench. He certainly feels very bad about fumbling in this situation. But I tell you one thing, somebody missed their block, because as soon as he got that football, he was nailed. He's taking it personally. His team might have scored. There's a chance they might get the football back, but he's only 10 yards away from getting 1,000.
Earl Campbell through the right side. He gains a yard, and the clock is stopped with 1:05 to play. The Steelers with 3 timeouts, and they take one of them right there. Now you see Pittsburgh has certainly been plagued by fumbles all year long. 39. Now we talked earlier, Gene, about what the Steelers have to do to regain the form they had during the great years. I know there's an awful lot of talk around Pittsburgh about maybe the guys are too old. The great ones are too old to perform anymore. But I'm not so certain that's the case, because, you know, when you lose a quarterback of the caliber of Terry Bradshaw, everything you do is magnified. It's a magnified 110,000 times. And when you fumble, you make a turnover, you make a mistake, people tend to dwell on those things.
Well, you always look for a reason why a championship team loses. Now, when you have a team that's a veteran ball team, you can always point to age. Take, for example, Miami. They won the championship. They had some players that got older, but they didn't have to rebuild. They came back. They're right back in the thick of things. This team doesn't have to rebuild, Pittsburgh, nor does Houston. They have good football teams. They didn't win this year. It doesn't mean they're not going to win next year.
Here's a guy who did an outstanding job for the Steelers today. As Gifford Nielsen takes it through the left side, he picks up a couple, and again, the Steelers will stop the clock. Mark Malone starting only his 2nd game today. Completed 55% of his passes coming into today's game. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Don Ohlmeyer. Coordinating producer is Ted Nathanson. Today's telecast was produced by Terry Ewert, directed by Jimmy Cross. The technical director, John Burkhart. Associate director, Bill Goodman. And all of the other folks, the fine, fine folks around NBC Sports who made 1981 such a sensational season. And you've got to go a long, long way back, certainly more years than I go back, to remember a better year in this league.
It has come down to the last week to decide all the people who are going to be in the playoffs, and I think it's terrific. People talk about parity, and I'll tell you, the athletes playing today overall are much better than when I started playing in 1969.
1:01 to play. There you see the time. It is 3rd and 5 for Houston. And look at this. Nielsen wants to put it in the air to Burrow. And I don't know if he got it or not. Yes, he did. A big first down, and that should just about nail it shut for the Steelers. What a catch by Kenny Burrow.
I have to smile a little bit, because what they wanted to do.
Now, wait a minute. They're going to bring it back. Hold on just a minute. And Burrow can't believe it.
I think the official was overruled.
Burrow can't believe it. Oh, he bounces his helmet down. He is livid. Yeah, that's a big, big call by the official, Gene, because it is now a punting situation for Houston, which would give Pittsburgh the ball.
Well, let's get the official call.
Ball was ruled trapped. 4th down.
Now, Ed Biles, that's the second time today. He has just exploded if you look at Kenny Burrow.
Well, usually you don't get that kind of reaction from a receiver when he traps a football. I mean, usually the guy will admit it. If he gets away with it, fine. If they catch him, it's okay. But I think he really felt that he caught the football.
Oh, look at this. The Steelers, there is nobody back. They've got 11 men coming. There is no return man. Important things here is that none of them jump off sides to give Houston a first down. 9, 8. And the snap is down. Here they come. And the kick is away. It should be an excellent kick. Oh. A Pittsburgh bounce. Takes a Pittsburgh bounce at the 16. They're going to call it dead at the 17-yard line. 35 seconds to play. Take a look at this.
That's bringing everyone. Look at that line of scrimmage. It just moves right back to the kicker.
Only a 28-yard punt. Let's take a look at the scores again. Chicago over Denver. Tampa Bay defeated the Lions at the Silverdome. It was Kansas City over Minnesota by 4. The Jets hammered the Green Bay Packers 28-3. Philadelphia fell to St. Louis 38-0. Baltimore victorious over New England. First and 10, Malone. Got a lot of room to run it. Now he unloads. And the man he was looking for was Jimmy Smith, and nobody home. Clock is stopped. 28 seconds to play. Let's look at the rest of the scores. It was San Francisco beating Bum Phillips and the Saints 21-17. Cincinnati leading Atlanta 30-21. The Falcons coming back in the fourth quarter. And Washington beat the Rams 30-7. Third quarter score, Seattle all over the Cleveland Browns 42-14. Oh, the Browns, the Chargers, the Falcons, all three of those teams were rated to be right there for Super Bowl 16. Second and 10, Malone. Lots of time, now unloads. Oh, it is almost intercepted by Greg Bingham.
I think J.C. Wilson, number 33, was just standing waiting for it. Bingham didn't see him. He went over and tried to knock it away. Had he not hit it, though, I think it would have been an interception.
A little puzzled with almost 40 seconds to go why the Steelers aren't going maybe for the 10, 12-yard outs.
Look at that. You can see Bingham coming across, going up high, knocks the ball away. What an intense football player Bingham is, though. He has just been outstanding, playing in the middle, playing that inside linebacking spot. Has just been a fierce, tough competitor for the Oilers.
It is now 3rd and 10. Big play for Pittsburgh. 19 seconds to play. Malone will have to scramble out. Now gets it away.
Oh!
It is Jimmy Smith. He has a first down out at the 36. 11, 10 seconds to play. 9, 8.
Never say die. Great catch.
The Steelers have a timeout left.
The official has stopped the clock.
I can't believe it took the Steelers 9 seconds to call a timeout, Gene. Unbelievable. They were running to the line as if nobody knew how many or if they had any timeouts left. Here you take a look at Mark Malone. And that is the final timeout as Malone comes back onto the field. And there you take a look at defensive captain Mike Reinfeldt. Don't forget, a week from today, the battle for the AFC Wild Card playoff spot. The Buffalo Bills, the New York Jets will battle it out for the right to move on. That game taking place in Shea Stadium. You'll see it all right here on NBC, beginning at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Boy, a great one that should be. First and 10, 2 seconds to play on the clock now.
So they're going to put the time back on the clock.
Back on. I looked up at the clock. I knew there were 2 seconds to play, and I see 44. to drop it back down to where it was when the Steelers called the timeout. Take a look at Terry Bradshaw. Will he retire? He says, no way. I will be back. I'm looking forward to it. In fact, he told the Pittsburgh media, don't be late to training camp, guys, because I'll be there a day early.
That's because he has no series to go to this year.
That's exactly right. No television for Terry Bradshaw. I loved his quote.
There's a great football player. I tell you, he may still get those. Well, he's not going to get them. Ends up a little shy of 1,000 yards for the 8th time. But what a football player. Saw him before the game started. Real gentleman. Certain Hall of Famer. Just a real credit to football. He has carried himself so well throughout his career. Just a terrific individual.
This is it. Malone goes for it all. And it is incomplete. This one is over. The Houston Oilers, with a fourth-quarter touchdown reception by Dave Casper, have won the ball game. We'll be back in a moment.
To the men who took the Andrea Doria treasure back from the sea, this bud's for you.
This bud's for you. There's no one else who does it quite the way you do. Just the way you do. So here's to you. You know it isn't only what you say, it's what you do. This bud's for you. This bud's for you. For all you do, the king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do.
This bud's for you.
It's the magic time of year when love's the warming flame. Though we celebrate in many ways, the feeling's still the same. We're America's storyteller, celebrating life with you, picturing the stories of everything you do.
For over 100 years, people have trusted their memories to Kodak Film, America's storyteller.
The Houston Oilers finished 7-9. Pittsburgh is 8-8, their first non-winning season in 10 years. For Gene Washington, this is Phil Stone saying so long from the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. Now stay tuned for the Family Circus Christmas on NBC.
A promotional fee has been paid to NBC by United Airlines. We serve more of this land's top 100 business centers than any other airline. Fly the friendly skies.
This has been a presentation of NBC Sports, the leader in innovative sports.